What a day for murder.
Yeah. Well, and we're live.
Oh my God.
Redeye stream number 270. I don't know. Who knows anymore? Why do we even fucking count? Who gives a shit?
It's fun. That's
it's
how
Monday,
we teach our
so
kids.
Yeah, right. Back to the news. And MC came prepared today. He's full of interesting tidbits. Like banning yellow vests. Let's start with that. Okay, that's not gonna work. They're already rioting. Oh, please stop rioting. Rioting's illegal. Isn't it already?
Well, rioting is illegal generally. You would think about that, but then they were letting them burn and burn and burn, and then it came down to let's burn buildings, and I think they decided to stop that and drew the line. So the French Prime Minister has banned the Yellow Vest demonstrations. They're not even going to allow the demonstrations on the Champs-Élysées amid the renewed violent protests. French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe announced Monday that the Yellow Vest demonstrations will no longer be allowed on Champs-Élysées after the protesters caused chaos in the tourist-heavy area over the weekend. Yes, the Champs-Élysées is not the only area where demonstrations will be banned. Moving forward, protesters will not be permitted to gather in many of the neighborhoods that have been most impacted in Paris, Bordeaux, and Toulouse. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. I don't care, all right? By the Yellow Vest activists for an unspecified period of time, Philippe said Monday. He also added that Paris Police Chief Michael Dupleix, I guess it looks like phlegm in your voice before you can say that one, all right, will be replaced this weekend by Prefect Didier Lament. Violent clashes erupted again Saturday as part of the continuing protests by activists rebelling against Macron's government. No, they weren't. All right. If you see anything that they were doing, they started bashing in storefronts. All right. Just going in there and looting everything that they could. And then they were starting to torch the places. Literally.
The MC rant hour without the MC channel.
Come for the news, stay for the rants.
I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. And what were they clad in? Oh, they were clad in yellow vests.
Yeah. Well, no, man. Okay. You know what I never understood about this whole yellow vest crap is you're wearing a big shiny yellow vest. Can't they shoot some rock salt at these motherfucking assholes?
Hold on here. But they were wearing yellow vests, and guess what else? Black hood and masks. What a surprise! Who do you think these rioters were?
I can't imagine.
They were peaceful protesters, sir. How dare you slander the good name of Antifa?
Peaceful protesting means burn down the buildings. Yes, and steal everything inside as you smash the storefronts and go in there and walk out with handfuls of freaking clothing and handbags and everything else. Of course, why the protesters were going after handbags, I'm not really sure.
Hang on, MC. Are you saying these people were from Chicago?
Well, no, L.A. This is more reminiscent of an LA riot than a Chicago riot. In Chicago riots, they just kind of like it's just mayhem, murder, mayhem, a couple of reasons.
Yeah, but MC, this is France.
Before the phone over here, I'm joking, Mrs. Midnight.
They had a revolution. They ended up with a dictator, and they chopped a bunch of people's heads off.
Yeah, including that dictator. So I mean, what's the problem?
Yeah, I can't actually disagree.
All right, you do realize how all that ended. Everyone was off with their heads without the English accent, like
yeah, but
the dictator's head was lopped off, and this was after he was shot and couldn't even speak anymore. He was in there suffering.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If you remember correctly, it ended badly for Europe, and Napoleon didn't necessarily have nuclear weapons. This idiot Macron,
but
macaroon, whatever you say, his goddamn name, has weapons.
Where did Napoleon come from?
Cyprus, right?
No, he
No.
can't.
Oh no, he got exiled to Cyprus. That's why.
No, he did
No.
not get sick. Jesus, do you know any history?
Anything about Napoleon? It's French history. I figure Voice of One and Jensen know about that.
Anyway, let's just put it to make it the easier for you. He was basically came from an Italian area, right? So he was Italian. Who cares?
Hang on, did Napoleon not come from an island off the coast of? Oh shit, my memory.
Yes,
I thought it was a fucking island. That's why I said Cyprus.
It was an island, but it wasn't Cyprus. Cyprus is between Turkey and Greece.
I just guessed. I pulled a random. Fuck about the French, man.
And he was sent to the island of Elba.
Yes.
To help you out a little bit, Mad.
Sent to the island of Elbow. Oh, okay, all right.
But we digress. All right, so I'm not worried about Macron taking over anytime soon.
Hang on, MC. The island of Corsica. Just saying.
Yes, Corsica. Very good. See, somebody reads their history. It would have to be the Irishman.
MC.
The Irishman just looked it up.
I googled it.
Like I said, the Irishman just looked it up.
Well, at least he was smart enough to do Google.
Hey, do you expect me to waste my time on France at all?
It has to be said, you mention it at the end of every single one of your streams. I'm a bit concerned about your connection with France, mate.
No, I figured you'd be more concerned with the fact that I'm telling everybody to bring their yellow vest with them, and now MC's accusing them of being Antifa.
Yeah, which is what these people. This is what Antifa does. All right, they know that they can use these crowds. All right, to sit up there and do their mayhem, and they've been doing it for 18 straight weeks. And these yellow vest protesters were fine with it. They were letting it happen, and all it was it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. You could see it building, and as the crowd started shrinking smaller and smaller, the violence kept going up and up. And then came all the excusers. Like, Sargon. Oh, the police are being so tough on them. This guy was hurt. Yeah, he was hurt because he had his hand almost blown off because he tried to pick up a tear gas canister before it exploded. This guy was a Mensa candidate, apparently.
Well, to be fair, I've seen a lot of those guys do that, and they were quicker than him. So maybe you should have faster reflexes.
Either way, it's kind of stupid when all you got to do is carry a freaking wet towel when you see a tear gas canister, throw it over the top of it.
Don't say stupid shit like that on the internet. People will start doing shit like that because they heard somebody say it on the internet.
Don't help them.
So
That's right, everybody. If you see an unexploded grenade, the first thing you should do is lick it.
Do you like that advice better? That advice is a hell of a lot funnier, Gerardi.
Oh my God! I hang around with a bunch of assholes.
Yes,
here's the thing.
You do.
I'm at the beginning of the Yellow Vest protests. I found myself kind of sympathetic to their plight. Now
sympathetic to it.
It's kind of going downhill very quickly. Actually, not even quickly, rather slowly, right? This has been months.
18 weeks, 4 months, 5 months now, a little over 5 months.
And it's all over taxes on fuel.
No. The taxes on fuel already ended. They ended that a long time ago. They already repealed all those extra taxes. This was just a group of leftists that wanted Macron gone.
Is it a group of leftists, or is this
much.
like during the American Revolution where the British were like, okay, we'll repeal that that Stamp Act, and we still didn't give a fuck.
Where'd voice go?
He gave his one piece of advice, lick the grenade, and then it was time for him to leave.
Jesus fucking Christ, don't lick the grenade.
But anyway, no, I don't think it's that Mad Dodge, and the main reason why I say that is because these people always were leftist. I mean, they decided to stop that completely. All right. And yeah, the crowd started shrinking, but the black bloc didn't go away. This is the black bloc. This is the leftist. And who's it being fueled by? It's being fueled by the unions. All right. And the unions are the ones who are killing their people and pushing their people to go out in there. And many of them are like the firefighters unions and the civil servants unions and all the other unions. That's who now is in the yellow vest protest.
Interesting that you're bringing up the unions instead of where a lot of people would immediately go, and they would start talking about, you know, anarchists, right? Anarchists are always the ones blamed for riots and shit like this, right?
Well, what do you think Antifa is? You know, they're communists. They're communist anarchists. And what do you expect them to be?
Well, anarchy, no, see, there's a difference between anarchy and communism. Anarchy is the tool to get communism. That's all it is. You want the power void left so you can fill it with your communism.
There are people that this, it depends on whether or not you're actually talking about the true believers or the people that are trying to use it. There are morons, even in America back in the day. Emma Goldman was one of them, if you want to look her up, all right, from the History Channel, all right, who she considered herself an anarchist. She did not consider herself a communist, right? But what was she pushing for? She was pushing for communist ideals. It's still the left. No matter how you want to cut it, no matter how you want to you know, sugarcoat it, right? No matter how many layers of you know, how long you want to try and polish that turd, all right? It's still the left of the country, the hardcore left. And these people, when they're marching in Paris, they know what's going to happen. They know that very well that there was going to be riots and everything. They were all prepared for it. And
you know how I consider the dichotomy, and that's why I have to cut you off, because you're equating the left to communism and anarchy, where that's not necessarily the way I look at the dichotomy. And I've said my point of view on that many times.
You can say you can say it. All right, but the reality is it's the same coin in the same metal. All right, the excuse is oh no, I'm not really like that. Well, then why are you out here protesting?
Well, America is founded on protest. So I mean, who are we to look at?
America is not founded on protest. America is founded on self-governance and rule of law. It is not founded on protest.
Yeah, but we were protesting the king's. We were protesting taxation without representation.
It was a protest. The lack of rule of law. We were protesting the lack of rule of law. You got to remember the revolution, right? The colonies were established by what?
By royal decree and charters that they handed out.
By the crown. Okay. What recognition, all right, did the American colonies owe Parliament? We were a crown asset, not a parliamentary asset. Okay, and the redress to say, okay, we'll be part of the thing was to sit up there and say, okay, yeah, no taxation without representation, but let us be in Parliament. And they told us no. They know it in certain terms. They would not give us any kind of part of being part of Parliament. They could have killed the entire revolution with just saying, fine, we will allow you to have members coming to Parliament. It wouldn't have changed things. From the actual perspective, the taxes would have been applied, but you would have had representation from the colonies. It wouldn't have harmed anything. Why the arrogance of the British Parliament to avoid allowing that, to me, it's just nonsensical. It shows you just how mired they were in that aristocratic mindset, even to that period, even if it wasn't the people in charge of Parliament weren't considered aristocrats, they still looked at themselves as being on a social peer above the colonists.
Well, no, and to wrap it back around to the current protests in France, they're not trying to have a revolution, are they?
Yes,
they're trying to have chaos.
No. Well, no, these are people who want the leftist revolution. They use the springboard.
France has been far left since the end of World War II.
That's far left. That's far left from your opinion and my opinion here in the United States. Okay, that's not far left from there. You got to remember, from them, they want actual communism.
Yeah.
Then why don't they move to the Ukraine or Russia or something?
Ask them.
Because they're French. They're just waiting for the Ukraine or Russia or anybody to invade them.
He is right. Because they're French. Besides, would you want the Frenchmen living in your land? Can you see what Putin would tolerate a Frenchman, a series of thousands and thousands of Frenchmen descending upon Moscow?
Have you noticed that the Russians have never actually said that they want to invade France? They're not stupid. Okay, why the hell would you want that attached to your land?
They really don't want anything except for there's two things that they want. They would love to have Poland. Don't let them lie to you. They would love to have Poland. Okay, and they would love to see freaking the Germans exterminated as a race. Okay,
is Macron a communist? And if he is not, then why doesn't he step down to save his government?
How's that save the government?
You step down and you have a new election, I guess.
It doesn't work that way in France. France is a republic. France is not a parliament. They don't have a prime minister. They have a president.
Actually, they got both.
Well,
okay. Well, then he has a vice president, right? Step down.
Well,
be like Nixon and for the good of your country.
You have a mixture of the two. That is true. I mean, but that's French politics. And let's be honest. Why should he? He can serve out his term and then walk away.
If he is a true statesman, then his country comes over his own power.
Okay. Right? Okay. Well, if you want to go with that, then what happened with Bill Clinton?
He wasn't a statesman. I believe Nixon was more of a statesman than Clinton ever could be, because Nixon stepped down when he knew he needed to.
Oh, well, I would agree with you there. But the reason is because they're on the left, they're on the side of the left, and therefore they're going to be protected.
But it sounds like MC got a phone call, and if he muted, it's probably works. So hopefully he'll be back here in a second. Jensen, is there any true statesman left in Europe at all? And for that matter, you don't consider your country, the UK, a part of Europe. So I'll be a nice guy here and say, is there a statesman left in the UK other than what, UKIP?
Honestly,
there might be one in that party, right? Sorry, go ahead.
That's cool, dude. Honestly, no, I actually don't think we have any true statesmen left. Nowadays, it is all about the power and the money grab. I know that's upsetting for people that actually truly believe in the rule of law and things. But this is not the world you live in anymore, dude, okay? People are out there just to get shit for themselves nowadays. If they can benefit out of it, great. If it screws us someone else over, oh well, someone else's problem. I'll be gone soon anyway.
Well, no, and to pivot off that point, since MC is still busy, there's a story I didn't grab for the show today, but I'll go ahead and allude to it a little bit. So the ambassador from Ireland, and that's the Republic of Ireland, right? You know, not Northern Ireland, because that's part of you guys. But came out and said, "Hey, we will help keep a good relationship between the United States and the EU. You know, we'll be your arbiters or whatever." Does the United States even need that? I mean, come on, dude. We could just be like, "Hey, EU, we're going to trade with Britain, bugger off," right? We don't need Ireland to step in and help us.
The problem is Ireland's trying to make itself relevant, and I don't want to have to say this, but I'm going to. It's not. Okay. No, I know how horrible this sounds, and I'm sorry for having to put it this way. But at the end of the day, there are basically 5, maybe 6 countries that actually matter on this side of the pond. And no offense to ERA, it's not one of them.
Well, I think Ireland is also trying to situate itself in an advantageous position because they know what's going to happen with Brexit.
I think you just pissed off an Irishman.
Well, he came back right away. Don't
well, no, he's from Northern Ireland. He don't count. Besides, Ireland only matters what, yesterday, St. Paddy's Day.
No, the thing is Ireland knows something, and they're fully aware. And I think what they're afraid of is when Brexit happens. Right, first of all, there is
hang on, MC. I hate to stop you mid flow, but I have to thank Magic Bollocks because he helped with this one. But everybody check out Discord now.
Okay, well, while everyone is going to Discord, I'm going to continue with my little spiel. All right. The reality is Ireland is in a bad situation because as Brexit happens, they're not going to build a wall with Northern Ireland. Okay. And and whether people want this to happen or not, it's going to be a hard Brexit. Thanks, Magic Box. I do appreciate that. All right, it's going to be a hard Brexit whether anybody likes it or not. Now, Ireland has to make a choice. Okay, do they stay in the EU or does the EU kick them out? Because they're not going to build the wall between Northern Ireland. They're not going to do that. And with Brexit, they're going to have to put some kind of custom thing in there, and everyone's saying no, we're not going to do it. The Irish shouldn't. There's no reason for them necessarily to do it, but because it's breaking the rules, the EU rules, and the fact that goods will start flowing back and forth through Ireland, Ireland is trying to put itself. Because they know what's going to happen is the EU is going to try and throw them out. Well, they need to get in good with basically the United States because they need someplace to go when they get kicked out along with the British. Because that's what the result is going to be.
Do you think the UK could force the issue and just stop trading with the Republic of Ireland, and then the Irish are put in a precarious situation?
Whoa. For what advantage to Great Britain is there to stop trading with Ireland?
Force the Irish to leave the EU. I mean,
I'm sorry. No. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. The EU will force Ireland out because they're trading with Britain. It's the other way around. Ireland isn't going to force itself out of the EU. The EU is going to kick them out because they're going to refuse to break ties with the British Empire. Now, that kind of rankles a lot of Irishmen, I'll be quite frank with you. All right? But the reality is that the EU is the one that's going to be upset. They're going to want a hard border there. They're going to want there to be a customs duties. They're going to want to be tariffs and taxes and all the other things. If you're trading freely with Great Britain, you're breaking all the rules. You're breaking all the EU rules. We can't have that.
Okay, that makes sense. I stand corrected. Thank you very much.
So I think that's why what Ireland is trying to do. Now, Jensen's right. Ireland isn't really relevant, but Ireland is looking out for itself. I think it has more to do with Ireland trying to look out for itself than necessarily trying to, quote unquote, be relevant per se. But then again, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they're not the only nation that's going to be like that. The EU has a lot of problems. All right, you want to here? Let me pull up something else. Since we were talking about France, right? And the wonderful French, and what kind of wonderful people they are, right?
Well, and as you're pulling something up, if France continues this downward spiral, isn't that going to drag the EU downward with them?
Of course it will. The France can't. The EU is done. Once the British leave, the EU will by default have to collapse. All right. There, you can share this now. French minister expresses concern about the long-term U.S. commitment to NATO. French Armed Forces Minister Florence Parly said on Monday that Europe was concerned about the United States' long-term commitment to NATO and implicitly criticized President Donald Trump's approach toward the military alliance. Screw you, France. Screw you, frogs. I don't give a rat. What the hell did you do for NATO except for stab us in the back every chance you got? Now, I will grant you that when we first went into Somalia, you did put frickin' French Foreign Legion there. You did support us there. But overall, what have the French done for NATO? Do you see French tanks, all right, in support of the Germany on the German line back in the days of the Soviet Union in the Fulda Gap? I didn't see any French armor. I saw a ton of American armor. I even saw British armor. I never saw any French armor anywhere.
Because you're looking in the wrong direction.
It was it's exactly right. It was being withheld in France just in case there was a long-distance attack. You want to talk about a commitment to NATO? They basically became an associate member of NATO rather than a full member of NATO because they didn't want to have a part of it. And now you've got the French going to sit up there and tell the United States, well, we're concerned about your commitment to NATO. Really? But you're not concerned about the commitment of the frickin' Germans, which have approximately just less than 500 main battle tanks in their entire, current arsenal. All right, where the United States has how many freaking armor divisions and how many thousands of tanks there? You're worried about our commitment to NATO? How about Germany's commitment to NATO? You want to give me that for a second?
How is this even goddamn possible, MC? Greece is paying 2.4% of their GDP into NATO, and France isn't even paying 2%.
What does that tell you?
Well,
they're lecturing us about our commitment to NATO. Right now, as you can see, Poland meets their commitments. All right, the UK meets their commitments. Even Estonia meets its commitments. Germany way below. France is, well, we're kind of close. Turkey's kind of close. Then these are the Romania, kind of close. And these are the border states. Meanwhile, Spain, the Spanish military, at this point in time, I think the whole thing about that France is worried about is they're going to have to send troops down to Spain to go deal with the Catalonians, to be honest. And right now, I'm not even sure that they'd win the battle.
Well, no, and who cares about Luxembourg? Whatever, you could leave NATO. Belgium, I don't really care much about you. Slovenia, where are you on the map? Maybe we can keep you. Maybe. I'm not ready to care, buddy.
These are all these groups there that talk all this shit about the U.S.'s commitments. Where's their commitment? Show us your commitment. And this is year after year after year. We're spending 3.6% of our GDP on the military, far and above what everyone else spends. Where's Denmark? No, oh, look at Denmark right down there at 1.2. Oh, look at Germany down there at 1.2. What a surprise. Italy's down at 1. And look at Canada. Look at the great Canadians. Yes, they're such wonderful allies.
Well, I was going to say, to be fair, Germany was pretty messed up after World War II, but it's been a very long time, and Poland's meeting its requirements, and it was a Soviet country after World War II, so never mind. Yeah, fuck you, Germany.
Sorry, I kind of want to step in here. You want to talk about countries that were messed up after World War II? As the British representative here, fuck you, America. We were bombed shitless too, and we pay our goddamn monies.
Yes, yes, you did. I have no. Did you hear me complaining about the UK? Did I complain about the British at all?
No, that was all
to
Mad.
Jerk. I wasn't even gonna be a jerk, but I will now, Jensen, because you asked for it. Greece pays more than you do, buddy.
No, they can pay more of the GDP. Well, what's the great Grecian army going to do?
You're right. You're right.
The Macedonian plagues. All right.
Wait, no. If these numbers are a bit skewed, doesn't Germany have the strongest economy in Europe? So their 1.2% of their GDP is more than.
Do you think that maybe they should have more? Just maybe they should have more than less than 450 freaking main battle tanks, seeing as the Soviet Union has 220,000.
And stop presenting and check the chat again. But no, we've done this before here on the Redeye and looked at the NATO countries. But I do believe this article is newer than the one we did last time. And last time we did this, it was like 6 months ago. So, yeah, I think this is a little bit updated.
Yeah, and we're getting preached to about our commitment to NATO. We're here to do what? And it still goes down to the same thing. Here you have Canada. Canada's 1% of their GDP to their military. Their navy right now is languish. What they call a navy, all right? I think they have like 4 frigates or something like that. Are languishing right now because of lack of funding, and yet they're supposed to be. They signed the NATO treaties and they're not living up to their commitment. So why is it that only in the United States has to live up to its commitment, all right, but everyone else is expected not to? There comes a point where I've said this before. In the United States, we tend to be a very isolationist people. Our leaders might not be, all right. But internally, we tend to be very forward-looking, but we're also very internal. We don't care about anybody else. That's their business, all right? Why should we generally get involved? This is one of the reasons why it was more difficult than people realize and why it was such a big deal for us to actually get an intervention, all right, during the war in Kuwait. There were a lot of people that were kind of upset with just the first one, where we were just kicking out Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. You got to remember the president at that time. Now you got to admit, removing Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait was a great victory. All right, we did it. Everyone was cheering. Everything else. That president, all right, lost re-election. So you have a war victorious president, George Bush Sr., losing the presidency. It shows you what the dynamic is from the American people as a whole. Most people don't understand that, but especially the Europeans, because they think that if we've been there for so long, we've been their shield for so long, they've taken us for granted that we're always going to be there to protect them. Well, France, screw you. You and your foreign minister can go frickin' pound sand, because the next time the Russians come over, or the next time you have a deal with, have a bad deal with the Germans, deal with it yourselves. We'll stick it out with Poland and we'll stick it out with Great Britain, but the rest of you European scumbags, you can go pound sand, and I really don't care.
Well, no, and all right, so there's another story, and this one will be fairly quick. All right, so New Mexico passed a bill to rename Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day. Pinoid, if you're still in the chat, that probably pisses you the fuck off a little bit. MC, how about you? I don't know if you're necessarily Italian, but come on, replacing Columbus Day and doing it with some stupid SJW term like that, get bent, right?
Well, of course it's get bent. What did the indigenous people do? They were living in a land of plenty, the likes of which the rest of the world had never seen. They had been in charge of it for literally 2 to 3 millennia, and they did what with it?
Well, we were talking last night about them. They built some big fires and ran buffalo off cliffs.
Well,
So
that was the Lakota. Now that was the Sioux. That was the Plains Indians. But when I hear people come talk to me about the Native Americans, well, I come back to the same thing. Well, first of all, their philosophy throughout the continent of North America was the strong conquered the weak and took over. Okay. They had finally gotten around to where they had figured out, maybe we can start the rudimentary skills of agriculture. They had finally gotten around to that. The rest of the world had been doing it for 4,000 years, but these guys living on the North American continent, it was such an easy lifestyle in comparison. They never had to struggle to do anything else. Meanwhile, the freaking Mexicans, all right, had already figured this out, all right, and we're already building freaking farming, agricultural, and major cities and all sorts of pyramids. They were actually taking a look at the skies. They were developing their mathematics. The North American Indian tribes, however, were like just kicking back, chilled because, well, life's easy. It's the good life.
Well, no, and to be perfectly fair, though, there's a big reason for that, and that's because there wasn't as many domesticatable animals on the North American continent. The horse had been
how many domesticatable animals did you have flowing around in Mexico?
Chihuahua?
Yeah, I know, right?
Sorry, I had to.
Wait.
Onward,
No,
mighty beast of burden.
Right? The chupacabra?
Basically, kinkajous. Is that what you're saying down there? No, believe it or not, the North American continent was very fertile. It was very exploitable. It had tons of natural resources. All right. But the lifestyle for the Native Americans in comparison to what the dirt lifestyle was, all right, by everyone else's standards, was very simple. It wasn't hard scrabble. And the result is that they, in comparison to their nearby neighbors, including in Mexico and in Latin America, they never freaking made the leap. They never had to. And they still carried on their silly little wars with one another. They carried on wars of extermination toward other tribes. The whole term, the Anasazi, which means enemy, all right, where we find the cliff dwellings, right, where you see the rudimentary buildings of a possible civilization. And what happened to it? It got exterminated by the wonderful indigenous population. All right. And
here's the thing, though, and that's not even what Columbus Day is about. It's about that he found America. All right. If you want to have a real discussion on changing the name, we could bring it up to Vikings. We can have that argument, but like they're missing the damn point of Columbus Day, are they not?
Of course they are, because they don't like it. It's the bringing of the West to America. The left hates the left. The left hates the West.
And I remember, I know it's fiction, but I was watching The Sopranos, right? And in an episode of The Sopranos, they have a thing where there's a protest against Columbus Day, and Tony Soprano and all of them get fucking pissed, right? Because they're like, what the fuck? Us Italians only have that one damn day, that and pizza. I mean, fuck you guys.
No, they're trying to revamp history. They use excuses like Columbus was a slave owner. He came in here and enslaved the Native Americans and turned them all into slaves. Oh, you mean like what was normally going on throughout North America within the indigenous peoples? What did you think the indigenous people did when they went to warfare, when they committed war against another tribe, which they did quite often? All right, they basically enslaved the people. All right, the men that they did. If they left them alive. Usually, what they did is they frickin' grabbed all the women and children after killing all the men, exterminating them, and basically the women were then forced into, you will do it our way, and you will marry this guy, and he will be your husband, and you will bear children, or else.
Well, no, and
the
they
good
always
old
bring
days.
up, well, and they always bring up the fact that new diseases or foreign diseases were introduced into the population and had a mass extinction. Well, not extinction, but mass death. Yeah, but then again, there was the Black Plague in Europe. I mean, that happened. And as well, if I go down to South America, even today, I have to take some vaccines, don't I?
Oh yeah, there's lots of diseases running down there. But I mean, so what? People didn't. It's not like people knew what germs were. In the 1500s, they hadn't even developed the microscope, folks.
And you have to remember, Maud, that when you're talking about the Black Death in Europe, white people died, so it doesn't count.
I'm so glad you said that. Saved me saying it.
Well, no, and I blame the damn Mongolians for the Black Death, but I digress. We got some news that current events to cover.
Well, the Mongolians, I mean, they do believe that it somehow came into the West from either China, but to be honest, there's more likelihood it came from India.
I heard it came from like the grasslands of China or whatever, and then the Mongolians were invading, and they ended up losing the battle, but they flung all their dead bodies with the plague over the walls before they left.
Actually, they've done a lot of extensive research. Actually, the first rounds of the Black Death appear to have gone through Constantinople and spread to the west from Constantinople prior to the fall.
But I just wanted to bring up the Columbus Day thing, and I know Voice and Jensen probably don't really care. That's an American holiday, but it's just, why are you changing holidays? Create a new one. I mean, shit. And
Mad, really? You're asking this question about a bunch of people who, at this point, are currently taking the absolute piss out of George fucking Washington. I seem to remember he's vaguely important to you Americans, but apparently no, he's the bad guy now. So
are you kidding me? Yeah. They were attacking Chelsea Clinton and blaming her for the mosque shooting. I mean, it gets bad when you're blaming Chelsea Clinton for the mosque shooting because she said anti-Semitism was bad, and that's all she said. How dare she condemn anti-Semitism?
Yes, MC, but again, you have to remember, she is white.
I'm not going to shed a tear for Chelsea Clinton. Okay, you can't convince me.
I'm not trying to tell you to shed a tear for her. Okay, but the reality is Chelsea Clinton is no more responsible for this than anyone else in the United States for what went down there by a foreigner on foreign soil. All right, against other foreigners. How is this the fault of the United States in any way, shape, or form? And if you come back and start whining to me about American foreign policy, then I guess we don't have to worry about our quote-unquote NATO commitments, and we should just pull out now, right?
How exactly is this a foreign policy issue with the mosque shooting? And when was the last time we sent freaking drones of peace to New Zealand?
Yeah, but here's the problem, MC. When it comes to your foreign policy, just like a mod dodge, you don't pull out.
And spoiled like a two British.
So our foreign policy is like a Catholic sex life. Okay, I got you.
No, our foreign policy is a bit schizophrenic. That's true. All right.
But no, that's a perfect segue into the president of Turkey coming out and playing clips of the shooter's video for his own political gain and pointing out the Islamic phobia of the West.
Oh, you were worried about the Islamophobia of the West? Is that what you're thinking? Islamophobia of the West?
Yeah. Well, no,
that's just mention it.
That's what he is mentioning. Yeah. And let me throw the story in the side chat. I gotta get it from Discord if you want to pop it up. But yeah, this is interesting.
I don't want to be what would you say? What's the word? I don't really want to cause a fuss, but Islamophobia isn't real.
Oh, I agree. You're going to complain about Islamophobia in the West. If somebody is actually going to complain about that, can you explain this to me? Please, please, for all those people who think that we're understating Islamophobia and that there's not really a problem and all this other stuff, could you explain how this happens? Could you explain this? Somebody. Nigerian Muslim militants kill 120 Christians in 3 weeks. Where's the outrage? While the news media is focused on the New Zealand shootings, the recent death toll of Christians in Nigeria has reached 120, with this week's slaughter of more than 50 by the Fulani Muslim militants in the Kaduna state of Nigeria. Really?
Wow. That's a pretty large death toll for nobody to be talking about.
Of course, it's just Christians. So, you know, I mean, they're not an oppressed class. See, they're allowed to be slaughtered.
Sounds like they're pretty oppressed in Nigeria, if you ask me.
Sounds like, well, that's where. Would you like to read the one about how they're treated in Syria, how they're treated in Iraq? Would you like to sit up there and walk around with a cross, all right, in Iran anytime soon? Oh, don't worry, you can escape to Afghanistan. Well, maybe Pakistan. Well, maybe India. Well, you're really kind of screwed, aren't you?
Go to Egypt. They're loved in Egypt.
But
you know, the Coptic Christians were basically burned out almost wholesale in the last, you know, Arab Spring. Oh, look at the revitalization. Thank you, Hillary.
No, but I got made fun of in Discord already because I can't pronounce that stupid idiot's name. But yeah, the president of Turkey, he's using that footage at rallies.
Yeah,
at rallies. That'd be like Trump at a rally. Look, here's this shooting. If they all had guns, they could have protected themselves. Look how horrible this is. Look, everybody's disarmed. This is horrible. He would be crucified.
Of course you would.
Probably not the right term to use. Just have to mention.
Oh, it was on purpose.
Yeah, of course it was.
It's one of the big words he knows. He's proud.
Yeah, I learned that one just this morning, guys.
You had it whipped into you in Catholic school. Don't deny it.
But it's outrageous to me.
It is outrageous.
And then just on the same freaking point, the shooter in let me get it right. It was in the Netherlands, yes. Yes. He went on a tram. He killed they're saying 9 injured, 3 dead. Not quite as big of a impact as the New Zealand shooting, if that's the right word for it. I'm trying to dance around here and not sound like a horrible person and make jokes. But the thing is, it's another freaking shooting. And luckily, you guys already know my name's Chris. Shut up. Fucking damn. But no, it's another shooting. It's only days after, and it's another country with high gun laws, right?
Oh yeah, the guns are banned in the Netherlands, and they're banned in France, which borders them, and they're banned in England, which is across the channel, and they're banned in Belgium, and they're banned in Germany, and they're banned on every freaking country that touches the Netherlands, and yet somehow an immigrant got a hold of a gun and went on a killing spree. Apparently a Turkish immigrant from Erdogan's hometown. I don't know if he's from his hometown.
Oh, no. Okay, thank God. I was like, fuck.
But he is from Turkey. He is a Turkish immigrant. All right. They called it all points bullshit to find out who he is.
Did I misread that? I thought he was still a Turkish citizen. I did read the article. I read like 10 articles today.
That doesn't mean he's not an immigrant. That doesn't mean that he's not. I mean, just because he's not a.
He could have been going over there on a visa for hunting.
Yeah, like looking for the truck of peace to actually drive into the canal. What hunting can you do in the frickin' Netherlands?
Rats. That is literally
Well,
it.
if you're going to start shooting rats in frickin' Netherlands, you're going to be starting shooting human rats before you start getting to the real rats.
Started early. You know, I don't see the problem.
Yeah, see, and thank you, MC, because you made my hunting license joke just null and void with that joke. So I appreciate it.
What's he going to be frickin' hunting? Right, he's going to be hunting rats. Oh, really? You know, if he was hunting anything, he was hunting weed.
Not too difficult to find, has to be said.
Not in Holland, it isn't. Well, once upon a time, Amsterdam used to be known as the diamond capital of the world. And then they said, you know what? Let's legalize all sorts of drugs. Now they're known as the pot haven capital of the world, and nobody even remembers the De Beers for the most part. Unless, of course, they're going to complain about blood diamonds.
Well, no, and in the chat, Ace brings up a good point. Islamophobia assumes it's a phobia and an irrational fear. There's nothing irrational about the fear of being knifed on the London Bridge. Now, is there, Jensen?
No. You know, it's not like Britain hasn't had its fair share of terrorist activity over the years. And no, I'm not blaming anyone specifically, and I'm not looking in Voice's direction whatsoever.
Well, you don't need to. You don't need to. You can just look right over here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need to look at Voice at all because 7 people are injured in a slashing attack during a fight at a London restaurant. Police were called at 11 a.m. this morning to an incident at the restaurant in Southall, Broadway. 7 people were injured. All right, police were called. And a man in his 20s was found with a slash of injuries in the restaurant in the Broadway Southall. At least 2 people have been arrested, and the cordon remains in place around a number of restaurants in the area this evening. Paramedics said 7 people were treated for injuries at the scene. 3 individuals were taken to the hospital. And the picture shows the Dawat Art of Cooking. I guess that's the name of the restaurant. And off to the side, it says halal, because I guess it serves halal food. I wonder what people were involved in this.
Yeah, Southall is rather known for having a slightly darker skin tone than the rest of us, and having a certain Middle Eastern accent.
Yeah, with halal meat being served, I wonder what the patrons were looking for. Just curious. Any idea, anybody? Ladies and gentlemen, do you have any idea what this could possibly do? Because, well, of course, the British, you know, being the stiff upper blitz that they have, and the British government trying to be fair, won't tell us the names of the personnel they're holding in custody. We don't know why. We do know that if Tommy Robinson had been there, his name would have been all over the place and then been broadcast to everyone far and wide. If Sargon of Akkad, all right, old Benjamin himself had been there, I guarantee you'd know about it. For nothing else, because he probably would have tweeted the incident as it happened and gotten banned off of Twitter, Facebook, and everything else. It would have the end of his YouTube career.
Ace just said, but how did this happen? They banned knives. Yeah, banned weapons so well. It
was the great Sporky.
You will take my spork from my cold dead hound.
Hoorah!
Your spork is used as a measuring spoon for the powder. We know what your spork is used for.
No comment.
Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. How many people were shot in New Zealand? 50?
No, 50 now dead.
No, 50 or died. 70 people were shot.
Okay. 2 days later, there's a shooting on a tram in another country with strict gun laws. Today, there's a stabbing in yet another country with strict gun laws. I don't want to give the shooter what he wants. I don't want a clash between the left and right. I'm not even on either the left or the fucking right. MC, you probably think I'm more of a lefty than fucking I am conservative, and then you take a look at my fiscal policy. I'm more conservative than I am a lefty. Like, both sides will kill my ass. I don't want this war.
Better pick a side then, huh? Better pick a side.
But you know what I
Join
do
my
want?
side. Matt, join my side.
I want if you're going to change laws, stop banning things and start letting people protect themselves. I've had it with this crap.
Yep.
Just want to say libertarians get the bullet too.
Libertarians get the bullet too. Is that what you said there, boys?
Yes. Well, they are arguing for more bullets, so it only seems fair to give them some.
Well, I mean, MC, I know you probably don't think I'm wrong, but I mean, what's it going to take for a push here to really start reversing some of these draconian gun laws?
People are going to convention of states.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the world? Are they fucked?
What else can you want to invade the rest of the world and tell them they're screwed?
I think we know we're screwed, dude.
Then no. Yeah, they're screwed. They're going to have to figure it out themselves.
Jensen, what could it take in your country for you guys to... I mean, can you at least carry a fucking pocket knife and some fucking taser to protect yourself?
No.
For God's sake.
No, you literally cannot carry anything, because the moment you're carrying it, you are then treated as initiating the situation. Though, funnily enough, and this is actually something that a lot of people don't actually understand with Britain, this is a lovely little trick. If you're ever attacked, all you need to do is shout out at the top of your voice, "Oh my God, I'm in fear for my life." And you can actually do anything you want to that person. You can literally rip their throat out and make them choke on their own blood. And you are actually protected because you was in fear for your life. So you reacted. Okay? Not many people know that little trick, but it is real.
Well, couldn't that go both ways? I'm in fear for my life because of Islamophobia, so I need to drive this truck into your building.
No, because that is initiating the attack. The other person has to initiate. You bellow, "I'm feared for my life," and then you rip his spine out and beat him to death with his own skull.
I don't know. It's just in the wake of all these attacks and with everybody reading into this guy's manifesto and everybody freaking out over the left and the right are going to have a civil war in America because some psycho in New Zealand, like, we give a fuck what's on the other side of the world. I don't know. It's kind of disheartening.
True.
How much do you want to get involved? Seriously, how much do you want to get involved?
I don't want to bomb them into Americanism, all right? I get it, dude. It's just, damn it, man.
Well, then learn to live with the fact that there's nothing you can do about it and that there's going to be bad things happening in the world. Learn to accept that. Stop looking at all these countries around the world. Run to the United States as if we're Papa Smurf. There's one of the reasons why I use that frickin' thing when I do my live streams, my news live streams. It's one of the reasons why I go about that, because they keep running to the United States to save their ass from themselves. And now what are they doing? They've gone to the next step, which is blame us for the problems they have created themselves and say that we're the problem and we shouldn't be doing this. Okay, we've been protecting your asses for over 3 generations now. It's time for us to leave. You can handle it on your own, and it's not an exaggeration. A generation is between 20 to 25 years. We've been in Europe for close to 70 years now. It's time for us to go. We've been in Europe for over 70 years. It's time for us to go. It's time for us to start withdrawing. It's time these people stood up instead of waiting for us, all right, to hand them a diaper. They want to be the rebellious teenagers telling daddy to go screw off. Well, here's your life. The world's out there, the big wide world. I hope you're ready for it. And we need to kick them to the curb. Kick them off the tit, kick them off of America's large ass, and say, handle it yourselves. Deal with it.
I agree, and I kind of like that euphemism you used. And what's up, Wolfie? How are you doing? Hungover today?
No, only pussies get hungover.
Hey, Wolfie.
Hey.
But speaking of hangovers, here's a story that might cheer everybody up. And all you really need is the headline, folks. One guy driving drunk calls police on another drunk driver. Both get arrested. If you're breaking the law, asshole, don't fucking call the cops.
That race right up there with the, he stole my weed. He stole my weed.
Yeah.
These are people that in the olden days, they would say, okay, we're taking you to the prison and we're going to castrate you because you need to opt out of the gene pool. We don't want your kind breeding anymore because there's too much stupidity.
We need to bring that rule back.
I think that was probably a funny night for the cop or cops, because I doubt the same cop pulled them both over. Well, maybe, I don't know.
That's a good question. That is a good question.
But Wilshaw, what would you think if you were the officer on that call? You're like, okay, so the other guy's driving drunk. Yeah, beer falls out of the fucking car when he opens the door. You're like, oh, well, so are you. You come sit over here on the curb.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time, and it won't be the last time.
Look, a normal day.
Pretty much. Fucking normal. It's not, I mean, not very, it's pretty normal. Pretty normal.
I didn't think people were that stupid all the time.
Really?
You watch our Congress, you see who these people elect and re-elect year after year, and you don't think that there aren't that many stupid people?
And it's usually the older people that think they can get away with it, like, boomers. Not the, millennials or any of that shit, whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, the millennials are stressing out because they can't get their Wi-Fi.
It's usually the old people.
Are you resembling that remark there, Mad Dodge? Were you stressing out?
My power came back on after that storm, but no internet. I'm just like, oh, fuck off.
How long was your power out, by the way?
About a week. A little bit over, I think. It was long enough to where we for the first time I think ever in my adult life, I went out and bought kerosene for fucking lanterns and shit.
Did any of your water freeze or anything in the house?
No, but
good.
Obviously I don't live in the city, so we have a well, so when the power went out, the water went out.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, you can't really power the pump without the power.
Well, yeah, but at least your water pipes aren't freezing and bursting then. So that's small favors.
Yeah, no, and I went out to my backyard today. There's a small hole in the fucking shed, the brand new shed I bought. Yeah, but it's in the side where the limb hit, not the roof. So I'll just put some fucking duct tape on the inside. Fuck it.
Redneck solution. Throw some duct tape on it. It'll be good.
Damn straight, dude.
I could spackle it. I could put a little wood on it, little plastic wood on it, but no.
Yeah, no, dude. I'm gonna go fancy and get that camo duct tape. It'll be great.
There you go.
Gonna put a little sign over the boo boo was here.
Yeah. A little note from the shed. Fuck you, tree. I survived.
That's it. Insult the tree. See what happens the next time it tries to lean over on you.
But no, and what other stories do we have here? Let's take a look.
Oh, you want more?
And Taryn Marine asked if I have a Jenny. No, I don't have a generator. Our neighbor did get a generator, so we were able to charge our phones. The cell phone tower was down, but I do have music saved on my phone, and I was able to use the flashlight and shit.
You want to hear a news story? I got a news story for you. Here's a wonderful story. Let me share it so that everybody can see it. Right there. Mm-hmm. New Zealand teen jailed for sharing mosque shooting video online. Faces 14 years in prison. A teenager faces 14 years in prison for reposting the New Zealand mosque shooting. An 18-year-old teenager appeared in Christchurch District Court on Monday and was charged with reposting the live stream video of Friday's mosque shooting. The judge denied bail. The teen's next court date, is in April.
Are they really going to ruin a teenager's life because he shit posted online?
Yeah. The 18-year-old is accused of streaming the shooting. Police have said the man, who cannot be yet named, was not involved in the attack allegedly carried out. Appearing in Christchurch, the accused was granted interim name suppression, but was declined bail by Judge Stephen O'Driscoll. Figures it would be a freaking an Irish Kiwi. All right. The details behind the bail decision cannot be published. He will appear again in court in April. The teen faces 2 charges. One was sharing the live stream, and a second for posting a photograph of one of the mosques attacked with a message, "Target acquired," along with other chat messages inciting extreme violence. If found guilty, he could face up to 14 years.
Damn, dude.
And yet Erdogan is quite happily using all this shit in his little presentations.
Yeah, meanwhile, the president of the Muslim country is spreading this far and wide because he is not interested in spreading violence. No, he's using this as a demonstration of peace and love because we know the religion of peace wouldn't be involved in these kinds of shenanigans.
Well, no, and you're telling me that the president of fucking Turkey, one of his aides, didn't read that manifesto? He knows what's in there. He knows the division that the shooter fucking wanted. He knows that the shooter was delusional half of that manifesto.
Of course he does. But that's not the point. See, inciting rage and hatred is only allowed for Muslims. Calling for the death of the white man in the Western world, the infidel, the great Satan, calling for the end and have the Jews driven into the sea, back into the sea. Well, that's not an incitement for violence. That's just telling people the truth. Ask Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib, 2 of the United States' representatives in Congress currently. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is peace and tolerance. This is the side that cares about people. Just ask them. They're Democrats.
Speaking of Democrats, okay. That dumb bitch out of Georgia, did you see that tweet she put out for the bill regulating males' reproductive rights after the Georgia bill 428, I believe, went through, the heartbeat bill?
Which one? Which
Oh God, dude.
What's her name?
Sherardi shared it in Discord, and this is just ridiculous. All right, let me scroll down. Okay.
On it. No, you keep going. I'll get that.
No, I found it. Subject: Testicular Bill of Rights legislation. Importance high. Good morning. Please have the following legislation drafted. Require men to obtain permission from their sex partner before they are able to obtain a prescription for Viagra or any erectile dysfunction medication. Ban vasectomy procedures in Georgia, both in part or whole, with the name punitive measures for performing the procedure that are listed in HB 481. Make it aggravated assault crime. Make it an aggravated assault crime for men to have sex without a condom. Require DNA testing when a woman is 3 weeks and 1 day to be performed before she is 8 weeks pregnant to determine the father of the child, who shall immediately start paying for child support. Also, the best one here, MC, because they're totally going to be able to do this because we're not in the internet age. A 24-hour waiting period for men to purchase any pornographic material or sex toys in the state of Georgia. Yeah, that's reasonable legislation, isn't it?
It's typical. It's typical of what you're dealing with. Why does this surprise you? And this is because they want to ban late-term abortions.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to.
Because late-term abortions are going to be banned, all right, half of which we're already paying for with public freaking funds, if not more, all right. She's all bitching about, you got to ban vasectomies because, well, does the public pay for vasectomies? Well, no. Well, then what's your freaking point? See, it's totally a cosmetic surgery for the man, but not for the woman. No, it's part of her reproductive rights.
Well, no, and I'm not trying to argue abortion tonight. That's not what I was trying to do. I just thought, isn't that so outrageous? And like, especially the thing on a 24-hour waiting period for pornography, or the fact that you can't buy Viagra without your spouse's permission. If she didn't give you permission, so you can't even have sex anymore, she's probably out fucking some dude, right? Like, there's a reason she doesn't want you to be able to fuck.
Actually, most women in that situation would want you to have the Viagra because when she gets pregnant from the other guy, she wants to be able to screw you and say, no, it's your kid.
Ouch. Fair point, though.
Women are vindictive.
Yes.
But yeah,
notice how Outlaw's being quiet because she's like, oh God, they're really hammering us. We haven't started with the Penoid stuff yet. Nobody said repeal the 19th. Either that or she's not listening.
Listening now. It's all the same bullshit.
See, the repeal the 19th gets her dander up. Now she'll come back. Now she'll come alive.
That's just all retarded.
Well, why should women get the vote? No, I'm kidding. Well, shot. You know I don't believe that. I'm just fucking around.
I don't know, man.
Save time. Ban all voting. No one actually listens to what you vote for anyway.
Don't give our politicians any new ideas.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. Wouldn't that be better than lowering the voting age? Just saying.
Oh, really? Ban all voting and leave Congress the way it is. Leave Skeletor in there for life. There's a good plan.
Have you seen what district she comes from? She's already in there for life, my friend.
Well, that might be true, but a meteor could hit and kill half of them. The earthquake could hit and drown half of them. I mean, there's hope. Because if a meteor comes or the earthquake and starts to drop them into the sea, the only ones that'll survive will be the freaking conservatives that said, "We told you." It might only be 12, but they'll be the ones that are alive.
The Democrats.
God damn it. Tyro's in the chat. Women are awful. Date traps. No, Tyro. No.
Isn't that his job? I'll pass. You can take that for the team. I'll pass.
And if the ultimate internet question is going to come up next, yeah, traps are gay. Sorry.
So, basically, a trap that would be involved with Wolfshot would be a woman that says that she's a man that's really is a woman. So she'd be walking around with jeans and a t-shirt. Is that what it is? No boobies. What? I'm trying to understand the kind of trap that
no
would come after you.
Just no. I want a woman with tits and a vagina. That's the requirements. Tits and a vagina.
Uh-huh. What if it looked like K-pop?
I mean, I would fuck a dude that I would fuck one of those dudes. But I'm never going to. I'm not under the delusion that I will one day fuck one of those K-pop dudes. That is never going to happen for me.
I did a story on one of a few days ago, or about a week ago now. One of them's in a lot of trouble.
Oh, the sex scandal?
Yeah.
I believe he's one of the lead singers for Big Bang, right?
I don't know which band it is. I don't follow. Sorry, I don't follow the K-pop scene.
It's prostitution.
Well, yeah, he was accused. He was accused of hiring hookers.
Yeah,
all right,
for clients.
For his clients. Which, to be honest, that is that culture. Okay, I don't know how you can prosecute this guy for it when it's a standard part of that culture.
Korea and Japan, they're really fucking weird about sex. Like, you have to be like super modest, but I don't know. It's like, for instance, them K-pop boys, right? Like, some of them you see take off their shirts and shit and, touch their crotch, everything else. But they're not allowed to have girlfriends. They're not allowed to, like, be seen with the opposite sex. None of that shit. But they put them, like, sometimes they dress in drag for, like, TV shows and shit and make them do really gay shit. Like, and they hate homosexuals. Like, they abhor homosexuals. But they make their K-pop boy band stars do really gay shit. It's the damnedest thing to me. I don't understand. It's weird.
I can tell you right now, there are a number of times, all right, that
Japan's the same way with their bands too.
That there were leaders of the military, all right, that would basically try to take you to an area where they would give you a prostitute for the night.
Okay.
And you could refuse it, but you had to be very, very tactful with it because they would take it as an insult. And it's not an exaggeration. These things did happen, and these things that I was there and witnessed.
Well, I told you about my buddy who was an MP over in when he was based in Germany, right? And they always went out for hookers and hash. Instead of R&R, it was H&H.
Yeah, different situation there, dude. Totally different situation. You're not being plied with women by the leaders of the German armed forces.
Just so you know, it's the same. It's not bigger, but I don't care because.
I mean,
yeah, no.
Not small.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to tell you in the side chat, both of those stories are about the same guy. But yeah, somebody killed the Gambino crime family, the boss. So, and the dude that did it went to court and had pro-Trump slogans written on his hand.
Suspected killer of reputed mob boss Frankie Collie has an X on his back, sources. Law enforcement authorities anticipate a possible assassination attempt against the Staten Island man suspected of gunning down mob boss Francisco Frankie Boy Collie, sources told the Post on Sunday. Officials haven't confirmed that the Gambino crime family has posted a bounty on Anthony Camillo But the general feeling is that there's an X on the guy's back, one source said. He's going to have some issues in jail, a high-ranking NYPD official said. Maybe there's some guys who are wise guys in jail who will show their allegiance to the Gambinos and say, we'll take care of this guy. Sources said Cali's gangland cronies would likely wait until Camilo 24th was serving time in an upstate prison before making an attempt on his life. But that wouldn't prevent another inmate from taking matters into his own hands to try and score a reward or simply to boost his reputation behind bars. So basically, they're calling. It almost sounds like they're calling for this guy to be executed. It sounds like the hit that they're putting out on him is coming from the police department.
Well, you know, the mafia used to, pay off a lot of police officers. I didn't think they were necessarily that powerful anymore, but you don't want to kill the leader of the Gambino crime family. Are you fucking stupid? What are you thinking?
Well, obviously, what's the reason for doing it? It was a mob hit, wasn't it? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zell. You were talking.
Oh, I didn't say anything yet. You guys have been hopping around subjects, entertaining, but like I guess I missed a beat or something. We're talking about the mob now, so I'm just listening. I'm trying to catch up. What happened?
Well, what did you want to come in on?
Anything, man. Just every now and then I'm gonna be bugging Mad Dodge. It's a cool dude. So I didn't know what we were talking about. I was just like, whatever. We could be talking about pubic hair. I'm in. Let's do it.
You missed the talk about the balls earlier.
I will say. I wanted to say. Were you guys watching that Umbrella Guys stream that just ended a little bit ago?
No, we've been here. We've been on this stream for a little over an hour and a half now. Well,
okay,
hour and 15 minutes.
It's a weird question. It's way off topic, but I heard something about the band Suicide Silence maybe getting some accusation or something. Has anyone heard anything about this?
No.
That's brand new to me. What you're now the lead of the story, so say what you know.
No, I'm asking because I heard I was playing a game while listening to that Umbrella Guy stream, and then I heard Suicide Silence. Now the reason why that band means something to me, that's my cousin's band. So I was like, did they do something? I've met those guys, and
I don't see anything. That's.
Anyway, if you guys hear anything, just let me know because I haven't talked with him in a cool minute, and so.
I mean, the only thing that I see here is Suicide Silence vocalist has issued an apology after being accused of emotionally and sexually manipulating a fan, Vera Celis.
Okay, and I believe the vocalist they have now is not the original vocalist. The original vocalist is my cousin, the one that started the band.
But
so it's not him, but still, I was like, it perked my ear up. I was like, oh no, how deep does this go? And
it sounds like all it was is he was being accused of sexually manipulating a 17-year-old.
Yeah,
but
okay.
that was a year ago. All right, so.
Just so you know, Joshua Janis says, Zell, look at loudwire.com.
Okay. Anyway, I didn't mean to throw it off subject too much, guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, dude.
The only thing they have for us on Suicide Silence is on Loudwire is that the vocals were removed from a song after the sexual misconduct outcry. It's more freaking SJW nonsense as far as I can tell.
Well, I think the big thing, because you guys followed the that tattoo artist, right? And how he got outed by Keemstar and a few others as being kind of pedo-ish towards girls. Did you guys follow that?
I didn't see it. I'm not part of the drama.
God. It's kind of hard to miss. I'm sure a bunch of the audience knows. But this tattoo artist that is this guy's done Ariana Grande's tattoos, Ninja's tattoos, pretty much any big YouTuber's tattoos. And there was leaked DMs of him hitting up 14, 15-year-old girls where he's like, I'll jizz in the cup and you take a shot of my cum, like shit like that.
Oh.
It's pretty damning, and it just like occurred to me. I think this is going to be the new thing now. You're going to start to see a lot of people that are, I would say, what are we, Gen X or whatever the fuck? But you're going to start to see late 20s, early 30s people that are just, their careers are going to be dying because it's the people that grew up where they didn't have a day in their life without the internet that they're going to be smarter on this. You get what I'm saying? We were introduced to the internet. I think it's fair to say we're all at least late 20s, early 30s, maybe older here.
Old is the word.
but like for the most part, we were introduced to the internet. So there's mistakes made, shit like that. I think we're gonna see a lot more coming out from like a lot of bigger people where it's just like, dude, you're not. The internet is forever. There's at least a generation that's going to be growing up that, like, since day one of birth, they understand that the internet's forever, and they'll be smarter with it.
They don't seem to be getting smarter. I'll be quite frank with you, they don't seem to be getting smarter. They seem to be getting dumber.
But yeah, no,
Sorry,
this is the
sorry,
other
I
story.
muted myself. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the other story of the same guy, right? Okay, so the 24-year-old man charged with killing the reputed boss of the Gambino crime family wrote a string of slogans on his hand, including MAGA Forever, and flashed them before a court hearing on Monday. Anthony Camello held up his left hand while waiting for a hearing to begin in Toms River, New Jersey, in which he agreed to be extradited to New York. On it were scrawled slogans including MAGA Forever, an abbreviation of President Trump's campaign slogan, Make America Great Again. It also read, United We Stand, MAGA. It's unclear what his motivations were for showing off his handwritten words. Camello was arrested Saturday in New Jersey in the death of Francisco Cali last week in front of his Staten Island home. Camello's lawyer, Brian Neary, would not discuss the writing on his client's hand, nor would he say whether Camello maintained his innocence.
Wait, this guy killed a crime boss?
Yeah, the leader of the Gambino crime family. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of the Gambino crime family.
Do we know why? Did he specifically hunt out this guy, or was it like?
Holy shit! The New York.
This guy basically was saying something about his license plate on the guy's car, right? And then to get him out of the house, and then when he came out of the house and was looking at the car, he whacked him.
So, like, at this point, do we only have theories because the guy isn't saying shit?
Like, basically, I mean, he was shot 10 times.
Because right away, my first, like, I'm sure your first instinct too is to think like, oh, well, that came from higher up. That wasn't his decision. He was following orders there. That's right. Doesn't that sound right?
Well, there were orders, but you don't take out if he was taking orders, it was coming from another family.
That's what I mean. But like, this isn't anything new. I mean, those, like, the remnants of what's left of them it's due to like how much they crossed over different bosses, and everyone wanted power, and there were constant power vacuums, and I didn't even know that these people were a problem anymore. Like if someone came to me and was like, "Hey, you want to whack this crime boss?" I'd be like, "Can't we just like egg his house? Does he really have any political power anymore?" Like,
well, no, and I think he was hired by somebody because this is the stupidest excuse ever. The New York Times reported Monday afternoon that Camello told detectives that he was high on marijuana and allegedly shot Cali because he feared for his life. Police say Cali, 53, was shot 10 times. Yeah, dude, that's the biggest.
That sounds legit. That sounds like self-defense. I mean,
yeah.
Like,
why you lead the guy out with his license plate from his car, and then to get him out of the house so you can shoot him? Yeah, that sounds like he's high on marijuana. It sounds like he was fearing for his life.
Or maybe when the crime boss guy opened his door and the guy's stoned out of his mind, and so like he just smells the Italian food, and then shoots
And then
the guy
hands
for
him the
some,
license plate from the guy's car and says, "Here, take a look at this."
yeah, shoots him for his gabagool. He's like, will you not share any of your noodles, sir? And
Hey, there's a cannoli in the back of the seat of the car. Come on.
yeah. And he's like, "Get out of here, punk, gabagool, bibbity bobby." So he shoots him.
I mean, how many people are sitting around smoking a joint? They're like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm Bob. I'm going to go shoot the Gambino.
I'm gonna go kill a crime lord today. Watch this.
I know it's fresh on all our minds, and it's a little bit too tsunami. But what do you think takes more balls? Waking up one day and going, "I'm gonna kill a crime boss, like the crime boss. I'm gonna go kill him right now," or planning out killing a bunch of Muslims in a mosque. What takes more fucking balls? And I'm not making light of either of them. I'm just asking.
I don't know. How many did it take to sit there and kill the 120 Christians in Nigeria?
You know what? I would say the dude that killed the crime boss has more balls because he expected he knew he was going to get arrested and go to prison where all those mafia fuckers are right now. He knows.
The thing about if he goes to prison,
he's in protective custody.
Yeah, the thing about him going to prison is quite frankly,
otherwise
he isn't going to be able to be tortured. You know, they're not going to be able to take his time with him. They may be able to whack him, but they're going to have to do it fairly quickly and relatively quickly. They're not going to sit there and string it out for days on days while they take pieces and parts off of his body. All right, and wire him up to electrodes.
They can still be brutal.
Well, it can be a brutal death, but overall it'll be fairly quick.
Yeah.
I suspect
in comparison to how it could be if they were given time.
Guys, that gives a new turn to the phrase. Did you catch that license plate? Did you get it, crime boss? Did you catch it? Oh, too late. I'd like to report a license plate. It's a V.
Well, no, and if you're gonna like try and plead, that you were in fear for your life, right? So self-defense is the angle his lawyer is gonna go for here, or either that he lost it when he smelt that Alfredo. But other than that, you don't have to shoot the guy 10 times, right?
Well, let's be honest. If you shoot a Gambino crime lord, okay, you're already in the shit. You better make sure he's dead.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave him alive.
Yeah, but you could have possibly, I don't know, like, yeah, if you're that nuts to do that, it doesn't matter anyway. But you could, if he had like popped the guy, let's say twice, chances are, first off, a crime boss is intimidating in and of itself, but chances are maybe he had a weapon too or something, and you could have staged it in a way to be like self-defense. But if you shoot him 10 times, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, and Aunt Jack in the chat says, how are Muslims not a crime family? Well, some people would tell you that the Saudi royal family is the biggest crime family in the world. So
look, yeah, like I think any religion should have its day in court as far as being able to have the chance to reform, being respectful to when it does reform. But when we talk about the dangerous Muslims, what we're really talking about is more politically the Islamic State, which has co-opted, like, whatever you think of the Muslim religion, the Islamic State owns it, pretty much. And that's what we're most afraid of is the Islam. That's what we're most afraid of is how the Islamic State.
Well, the reality is culturally, the religion of peace reinforces that 12th century cultural mentality.
Yeah,
and so as a result, it creates a strong bond with them.
Yeah, true. But like, I just try and be fair, and you have to be fair too that there's also a religion called Christianity that believes that 2,000 years ago a Jewish whore couldn't tell a lie, and there's shit like putting people to death, witches to death, non-believers to death, and
Yeah,
hold
on. But that was a standard of the culture at the time. It wasn't. That wasn't an aspect of Christianity alone. All right?
Well, I mean, like, it's written there in, like, you know, metaphorically in the stone, in the text, but we found a way to reform that. You know, the
right, because
Christianity's culture,
but the Western culture was different, and you had the Christianity's the ideology of Christianity was not as tightly bound, all right, to the Western culture as it is in the Middle East culture.
The Western ideals sort of obsessed more overall, and this was a good thing for Christianity. They obsessed more over the beautiful things that you could find in the texts.
Well, it had one other major aspect that's different, and that is it stressed individuality. It stressed individual accountability and responsibility.
I will completely agree with you there too. After, like, there was a time where I was like, oh, they're all the same, blah blah blah. I think I could have a pretty good discussion now about how I think I think there's a huge divide between Judaism and Christianity, for example, and I think you nailed it right there. I find that Christianity is more about the individual.
Yes.
But either way, we're getting off topic. I'm just saying that, like, you know, I'm stressing that, like, there's people out there that are Muslim, but they also are realistic about, like, no, we have to reform. There's nasty things, that there's nasty ways to interpret this book, and people are doing it. There's nasty messages that people latch onto, and we need to reform and grow and still can be Muslim. That's cool.
I don't see them doing it.
There are some, I forget the guy's name, but there's a gentleman who he just recently escaped an assassination attempt. He's a good buddy with Sam. No. He's a good friend of Sam Harris, and he's pushing for reform, and he's being more realistic about it, but not ditching the faith, you know.
No, it's going to take a major upheaval throughout their entire cultural. You got to break the cultural differences in order for that to happen. He's not going to be able to go, for example, to Saudi Arabia or to Afghanistan or Pakistan.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Or any of those areas, and he's not going to be able to reform them. He's not going to be able to do it simply because culturally, all right, the bond and the ideology, which reinforces it, and they reinforce each other in a symbiotic relationship, is too strong. He is not going to be able to have that kind of an influence.
Yeah, it's infected at this point, and the infection goes so fucking deep. It's ridiculous. But one of the infections that Christianity, especially in the West, thankfully, for the most part, has broken out of, for example, is and I remember this just when I was young. I remember this. It was very common. I had tons of friends in Christian homes, and they were, like, homosexual, and they were just treated like dog shit, and they were shamed and guilted, and I watched it happen before my eyes. And what I'm saying is, like, these things that you could find beauty in, these religions, can also be infected and not grow and stay stagnant and have bad ideas.
But was your friends tossed off the top of a building?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
And have you watched Islamic children's television? Have you just sat down and watched clips from it where they're teaching these children how to identify Jews and that they're evil and monsters and will kidnap them? And
it's disgusting. Yeah, I'm not going to argue. Like, I'm not arguing like they're both the same.
Oh, no one's accusing you of arguing. We're actually we're actually just asking questions. Don't get. There's no reason to be defensive. Nobody's accusing you of anything.
No, I just didn't want to come off as like I'm making them sound like the same.
No. You're not.
Yeah, I will say there's a definite way worse infection with the Muslim religion.
You got to remember, Dodge is talking to his audience. So
absolutely, yeah.
No, but like
it's a good topic, and honestly, the infection runs so deep that I don't even know if reformation is an option on the table, especially without war. I don't know. I just don't. I don't like the idea of like that. There's people out there that like you also have to like it's true. There's people out there that are Muslim that are like, no, we have to like grow and knock off the evil shit, but they get targets on their back, and that's real too. But I don't know if they're going to be able to survive, or I don't even know if it's going to be able to reform. I don't know if it's too late. I don't know.
It's not going to be able to reform without the culture, without you breaking down the culture in the Middle East, without breaking down that 12th century mentality. There is no way to break down that ideology, in my opinion.
Yeah,
well,
I know. The sick stuff is really concrete in there.
Well, MC, I don't remember if we said this during the Civil War show when we started bantering towards the end, or if it was off air when me and you were just bullshitting for like an hour. But we were talking about the only society over there to really separate their politics from their religion was Turkey, and how I believe they are reversing that actively right now.
Well, can I point out something?
Sure.
Anti-Hero makes a good point in the chat, and he says Islam is perfect for the cultural environment it originated in. It's always been a political movement and nothing more. And what I'll say to that is, that's a really good point, Anti-Hero. It's what we also have to remember to be empathetic about, though, is it's not political to everyone. There are genuine people out there who are like, I don't want this to be political. I just want my religion, and I don't want to carry nasty stuff with it, and I want to reform it. They're probably doomed.
The thing is, though, and this is true of pretty much all the Eastern religions, okay, is that they tend to reinforce the cultural mindsets of these back-assward areas. This is one of the reasons why you had ossification in China. It's one of the reasons why you had ossification in Japan. And it's one of the reasons why you ended up with ossification in the Middle East. Because once Islam hit, what you don't have is you don't have scientific exploration that was taking place, and other types of individual thought and so forth taking place on a large scale. Okay,
and that goes back to what you said earlier about Christianity. And again, like, you might be able to like pinpoint this better than me. I can't say for certain if it's the text itself or if it's the way the West adopted it, but Christianity thrives as well as it does because it doesn't suffer from that, because it invokes and nurtures individualism.
Right.
And
well, it constantly stresses the individual's responsibility. Even the concept,
it is anti-government to its end. Correct?
To an extent. Okay, it isn't. It doesn't reinforce the local status quo as much as Islam does, as much as Buddhism, even as much as Hinduism or even Shintoism does. But although Shintoism was majorly reformed, I'm not going to.
I apologize. It's not anti-government, but like it nurtures
anti-establishment in the best way. The cultural overlay that it exists with it.
Yeah, okay. Let me rephrase that again. The government or the status quo doesn't define you in Christianity.
No,
and that's a sorry, Terry. You know more about this than I do. But I'm still discovering.
Well,
you can also look at Catholicism, where the politics and the religion are unified. They are one as well, but they're not quite as backwards as the Islamic countries, are they? Like,
that's a good point, though. Catholicism, largely for the most part, it still has like it's like there are comparisons there. There are elements the Islamic of it. State is concerned. That is a political institution.
If you go back to Spain came close to that. It wasn't as bad, but mainly because it was part of the West and had to deal with the West. But the reality is that Spain, became a very rich country, all right, but overall, technologically, it never did advance.
Yeah, but what about the Orthodox Church out of Russia before the Communist Revolution? They were unified politically and religiously as well.
Well, yes and no. The Russians had you can't really compare Russia to anything.
That's fair. And the Tsars had ultimate control.
In Soviet Russia, Jesus kills you.
It's the Russians and the Tsars and how all that played out. It was quite unique.
Yeah.
Because of the vastness, the reason basically the Tsarist Russia was the final throes of Western aristocracy. You have to look at it from that standpoint. All right. It was going to go the way of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, where you're in an empire and you have all these different competing forces. Well, the same thing was going to happen with Russia. You got to remember, Russia included a lot of ethnic minorities across a very wide domain, a very wide landmass. All right, and the Tsarist Russians were worried more about keeping their empire together. It wasn't necessarily a religious zeal per se. It had more to do with keeping these widely dispirited ethnic groups still in line. All right.
So, do you think we need to just take back Istanbul and christen it back to Constantinople and call it good?
Istanbul was Constantinople. Istanbul was Constantinople.
Are you calling for a new crusade? Is that what you're doing, Mad Dodge? Sounds like you're calling for a new Western crusade to take back Jerusalem.
I think you're calling for it, not I. But hey,
the next step from there, because it's a slippery slope. The next step from there is Mad Dodge starts writing shit on AK-47s and loads up.
What have I said? What have I always said? Do I say anything about conquering people?
No, you prefer the space rock.
You imply it. It's the implication, sir.
No, I'm not going there to take land. I'm going to bomb them until they say we surrender, and then I'll leave.
Look, I do think we have a real enemy out there, and I do think that the shooting in New Zealand, it raises questions that shouldn't be ignored. But I also, it's disgusting the way. That was a disgusting answer to the problem. I'll say that.
Oh, I don't think he was trying. I'll be honest with you. I personally don't think he cared about that from the perspective of a religious war or attacking Muslims or immigration.
I do think he had a purpose.
I really think that his primary purpose, all right, had more to do was to create civil war between the left and the right, and he wants the left to win. He expects the left to win.
You know what? Wolfshot's usually a little bit too bombastic for me to agree with her all the time. We're friends. It's just I don't agree with her all the time. But the thing is, she said something yesterday that I really agreed with. I think this guy is the Joker. He wants to sit back and watch the world burn. That's it.
As well. Go on.
Well, my kids keep yelling right next to the mic, so you guys go ahead. I'll be right back.
You tell them that Uncle Zell will be right in there to smack him up.
No, but I think this guy, Mad Dodge could be exactly right. I mean, and Wolfshot could be exactly right. I mean, it's very possible that this guy just wants to see the chaos. He wants to see the killing. To him, he gets some kind of sick release from it. All right.
Yeah.
Thinking that somehow, look at what I've done. And it's the same thing. Like, it's kind of a nihilistic attitude, and nihilism is making a comeback. There have been in the world, there are nihilistic periods where we go through these kinds of things. All right. And unfortunately,
I don't care about his intention. Yeah. I could care less about his intention. It's fun to try and figure it out, but I could care less about that. I do care about don't wipe under the rug the questions that all of this has raised. Like we were discussing last time I was on here, what do you expect? Like, as much as I detest and disavow what this person did, also at the same time, if you went to any culture and without explicitly saying it, you pretty much say, we want you gone and we're going to get rid of you. Slowly but surely. Well, you're going to have violence.
Oh yeah, well, the further the culture apart, the further the cultural divide, the larger the cultural divide, the more violence you're going to see. That's natural, all right. I mean, that's just a standard way of when two cultures come in conflict. with one another or come in contact with one another, you have 3 outcomes possible. You have culture A kills culture B, or culture B kills culture A. Or if they're close enough, you'll amalgamate into a C. Guess which one rarely ever happens?
Well, even in America, it takes, what, 3 or 4 generations before you're fully integrated into American society. And
normally,
nowadays,
it's the 3rd generation that actually begins to be assimilated. The first 2 generations don't assimilate well.
That's a good word. I think that's mainly like that's the biggest point that I draw from this horrific shooting is it does bring about the serious question of like as much as we all want to hold hands and have world peace and blah blah blah, shit ain't gonna happen. Are we gonna start taking seriously the idea of when we bring people in, like do we care about this culture, and do we care enough about taking seriously getting these people fucking assimilated? Otherwise, it breeds violence, and it breeds loneliness too. A lot of people start to feel more like outcasts.
Well, and they're the easy targets for the provocateurs, the prevaricators, the guys who are the provocateurs. That's what I'm looking for.
Easy target for the political class who stand by and foment our division. They're giving this fucking psycho, this Joker character, this agent of chaos, everything he wants.
Well, the worst part about it is because of their attitude towards censorship, right? People can't really see who this guy really is and what kind of a dirtbag he really was. And
well, I'll make you guys very uncomfortable. And Antihero brings up a good point, so I'll just ask bluntly the question, and you guys can debate this, or if you agree, that's fine. At the end of the day, guys, can Islam fucking assimilate?
Not in its current state.
Yeah, let Jensen field this one because you have no-go zones, right, buddy?
Yeah. It's not a case of can they, it's a case of will they. Because the answer to your basic question of can they, yes. Because technically anything can happen. The point is will they? And I say no, they won't. Quite simply, they've come over to another country. They've created their own little, for want of a better, caliphate in certain areas of my country, and they are trying to bring in Sharia law, which is not part of my country's laws currently. Yes, I am putting the yet bit in there. So can they do it? Yes. Will they do it? Probably not. I'll be completely honest with you. I highly doubt it.
Well, they're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to do it with a constant influx of immigration. You've got to stop immigration right now to a point and end it for a period of time until overall integration begins to happen. That's what it takes. All right. It's going to take something like that. You can't just have this constant flooding again and again and again, especially in the kinds of numbers that you're dealing with right now. You're not talking a few people here and a few people there. You're talking tens and hundreds of thousands of people every freaking year. All right. I'm talking about specifically in Great Britain.
Yeah. I just want to make a quick point too. I find it interesting too, and it's really unfortunate. Again, we obviously disavow what this disgusting guy did, but it's really unfortunate that and I hate to say white culture because I don't like the term white. I don't identify with that. Like, I don't know. We can talk about that another time. But
I consider it Western. I consider it Western.
Yeah, Western culture. When Western culture is eroded and attacked and disturbed, and then violence springs from that, it's called Nazi violence and white nationalist psychopaths and all this and that. But when the left commentates on any other culture in the world, especially in America, being eroded and violence being born of that, they're sympathetic. Isn't that interesting?
It is a problem. Well, you got to understand the left's goals within, especially like the United States. The left can't exist with the current Constitution. They've got to break the Constitution. They got to break it up, society down as it currently exists, so they can rebuild their utopia. This is their goal. They need power to do that.
No, and to go back to, MC, you're like, oh, Mad Dodge is calling for a crusade. Why don't we let's play out this thought experiment here. It's towards the end of the show anyway. Why not? What if all of Western society finally said, you know what? We've had enough. The gloves are off. We're taking all that shit. It's all ours, and we're gonna quietly wipe you out.
What do you mean quietly? If you're serious about trying to save, lives, and I'm going to be real blunt. If you're serious about saving lives, it doesn't need to be quiet. It needs to be harsh. It needs to be brutal, and it needs to be very, very severe. I'm not exaggerating when I say that you need to go over there with B-52s to the Gaza Strip and just start putting leaflets out saying this is the grid that is removed today. And you keep dropping bombs grid by grid, wiping out everything that's there until they say, we surrender, we will stop. Because at that point, then they're ready for their culture to change, and if it doesn't, and they're all gone, so be it. But at least the problem of the Gaza Strip is gone.
I would like to steal a line from Christopher Titus and one of his stand-up specials. I don't agree with the guy on a lot, but he made a joke that maybe by accident reveals a lot of truth. And it's the one thing that makes me feel comfortable enough to say that I'm white. He goes on apologizing for the whites to the blacks about what happened to them. And then as a little jab at the very end, after apologizing for like 2 minutes straight, he goes, now who in here is sorry with me? And all the white people raise their hands. And he looks at the blacks and goes, we're really sorry, but just remember, did you see how quick we grouped up? Like the whites, the one thing is like, if quote unquote white culture, let's say the majority of them, decided that's it, we're done, that's enough. I hate to sound a little too conceited, but we're gonna win if we did that. Because a Muslim would have gone into that building and blown himself up. Just made a massacre of the thing. One white dude tactically went in there, got his job done, and sent a message. One white dude.
That guy. I mean, for crying out loud, he opened fire. He killed a bunch of people. He goes back out. Oh no, I'm not saying that you did. I mean, the guy goes out and actually came back in. All right, to start shooting the people that were groaning on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this guy is an absolute freaking monster. Let's be plain.
Oh no.
I mean,
yeah.
And
I'm saying, like, if any culture had to turn into a monster to protect its own culture,
but it is an efficiency. All right. Because I mean, let's be perfectly honest. How many times have you seen videos, even recently, of the Palestinians when they're uprising, they're rioting and they're firing their AK-47s at the Israelis, and they may hit like one, maybe two with like 30,000 rounds. The Israelis go in there and just wipe out a whole bunch of them. I mean, there is an efficiency difference there.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, like, and it sounds terrible. I disavow any violence, okay? But all I'm saying is, if you're one of those people that's like, you're not going to stop and you want to see my culture go away, all I'm going to point out to you is, last time we played this game, we created the most infamous evil man in the history of wars. Like, we're really good at this. Don't do this. Like, one white dude went in there and did this and sent a message. One white dude, just a white dude. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, you know what I mean? That's why I'm like a little less worried, because I'm like, oh shit, if this goes down, oh, okay, I'm part of that race that's really fucking calculated and cool with this shit. and not. That's all I'm saying is like, if you put us against the corner, man, do we get together real quick? And like I've noticed with white culture, and there's all the other cultures like that too, but white culture, we're really okay with the stratification and the pyramid system. We're really okay with just knowing our place, getting in line, and doing shit for people that look like us when we have to. Let me make that clear.
Well,
when we have to, I'm saying we're really fucking good at it.
First, the Redeye.
That sounded terrible. That's going to get clipped.
The views expressed by the panel of the Redeye are not necessarily Mad Dog Productions or the rest of the panel. Now, that being said, if you could see the destruction we put upon Germany, and we could do that to our own people, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're like the OCD roommate. Like, dude, let us have our clean shit in our room. Like, if you borrow one of our DVDs, put it back exactly where it was. If you fuck up our room for even 1 second, like we are super orderly. We know where everything is, and we will collect on a moment's notice. If you think that Muslims are tight with each other while they're exploding each other and shit, like, dude, if you back whites into a corner, and it takes a lot. We take a lot of shit. But if you back us enough, we'll be like, okay, I'm leader. Oh, that's cool with me. Okay, you do this. Okay, like we click fast. And I don't know. I think that this gentleman was a little bit of a spark of that. Like, that's what happens when a white guy goes insane.
Yeah, but I still think he was not necessarily a psychopath, like completely batshit crazy. Woo! Put him in a padded room. No, I think he was calculating and knew what he was doing. But that just means he's an agent of chaos. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew an agent of evil.
And I don't. Again, that's disgusting what he did. I'm just saying there are versions of what he did where I could see avowing it if things became a civil war. And all I'm trying to point out is what he did was disgusting and uncalled for. But in a situation where it called for it, like, dude, do not underestimate the white man. We will get clicked together so quick if this shit does go south.
Yeah, the thing I worry about that is you're trying to make an excuse for us to take the French along, and I really don't want to do that.
Take the what?
Agreed.
Take the French.
Take the French.
Let's pivot to where it doesn't sound quite so inflammatory. Let's look at a real life situation. South Africa. What are the white farmers doing? They are grouping together. They have mobile farms and lots of weapons.
They're doing their best there, man, from what I understand, but it's still horrific.
Yeah, and that's not going to end well for anybody involved. And then when the whites are massacred and killed, and the people that haven't been the farmers and don't know how to farm the soil starve, they're going to want help again.
That's already been worked out, guys. The Chinese are getting incredibly friendly with the continent of Africa. Now, how am I going to put this without sounding too racist? The Chinese are quite good when it comes to farming.
Did that for you, dude.
The Chinese are quite good at what?
Farming.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the Asians they respect honor. The Muslims, they respect the afterlife. The Mexicans, they respect a good quinceañera. And the whites, what got us to where we are, and I hope this makes sense, we respect brotherhood. And I mean that genuinely, because I've been in situations where I was backed into a corner, and then I was like, all it takes is like noticing another white dude in a crowd when shit's going down, and you just go, you're my brother now. For like the next 10 minutes, you're my brother. And you guys click instantly. You're like, we got to do shit. You're my brother now. It happens quick. And I'm not trying to. I hope you understand what I mean.
Anti-hero in the chat says, the actions of one moron in New Zealand won't have the necessarily effect here in America for that. There won't be a civil war. No, but what will have the effect,
I don't know.
But what will have the effect is the censorship that's going to happen. That's what I'm worried about, and that's what he wants. Do you
Make
think
sure
he
you
really?
delete
Well,
the
there's
stream,
other.
Dodge.
There's the thing is there's other issues going on that are going to drive wedges. All right, because of the situation, whether people want to admit this or not, this whole Trump, Russia scandal crap is going to cause a major wedge within our political discourse, and how that plays out has yet to be determined.
But that means we've hit the second hour. I'm going to throw the Hangout link in the chat and then wait a couple minutes before we go off air. But if you want to come in and hang out where we don't have to censor ourselves.
Yeah, if you want to be part of a stream where I pretty much talked about whites kicking everyone else's ass.
Well,
you need to delete this stream, Mad Dodge. You just need to delete it right away.
No. I think it was Taryn Marine in the chat who told everybody this stream is owned by the Blaze TV. So you
got to appreciate Ajax, man. He's already selling your stream to somebody else. He's already co-opted it. You've been sold again, man, Dodge. Sold again. You get nothing. He gets everything.
Hey, I'll sell out for a little bit of money. I mean, hit me up.
I don't think I could work with Glenn Beck. I really don't. I think he's too much of a friggin' nitwit.
Dude, the first day at work, I'd show up with Make Taxation Theft Again hat. You know, the red one that looks like the Trump hat. And my face with Cheetos all over it. He'll fire me right when I walk through the door. It'll be great.
I don't think you'll last that long, dude. Because the first thing that'll happen is you'll walk through the door and they'll hand you a Book of Mormon. Have you heard about our Lord Jesus Christ?
Yeah, and I just pull out my St. Christopher necklace. Oh, I already got a fucking overbearing.
Have you heard about our Lord and Savior L. Ron Hubbard?
I'm a Scientologist. That's almost as bad as what a friend of mine's father did. All right, with the Jehovah's Witnesses. He got tired of the Jehovah's Witnesses coming by, so they came in there and said, "Have you heard about the Savior, Lord Jesus Christ?" He goes, "Well, yeah. You want to talk about the Savior? Yeah. Can we come in?" Sure. We're Druids. We worship the oak tree in the back, but you're more than willing to come with us. They never saw them again. In fact, whenever the Jehovah's Witnesses would go down their street, they'd cross to the other side of the street.
See, that's another thing that white people will do when you erode their sense of brotherhood, is they'll just concoct shit to make themselves feel like they have that brother. I'm serious. I think there's something to that. Well, only a white dude would create Scientology, because he's so lacking in a sense of brotherhood, and he just wants to feel connected, and he wants to feel like he built an empire.
Well, there is.
That is totally interesting.
I think empire building is a natural part of human beings, to be honest.
Oh, fair enough. But I think for the most part, it was for the purpose of it's that lack of brotherhood. I think that's what the shooter
L. Ron Hubbard was a shitty writer who created a religion to make them money make writing. But don't show up at my house talking to Will Smith. Don't do it.
Hey, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I would point out the Moorish science temple.
Tom Cruise is knocking on the door. I'm like, oh shit! And then I get shot in the back of the head by fucking Nicolas Cage. Like, shit's fucked.
More like a Scientology defender. Oh, we got Antihero here. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, y'all?
He had a lot of input in the chat, so I'll let you go, man. What's your take on everything?
Oh, well, first off, you said just a second ago that only white people would create some random bullshit. Nah, man, Moorish Science Temple.
No, I was kind of being silly there, but yeah.
Just look that shit up sometime. That's like right up there with Scientology for fucked up ideologies, and that's entirely African American.
Who created Kwanzaa? Was that white dude?
Honestly, it was probably a white guy, but no one's gonna say anything.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, what's up?
It's probably a white guy. Just no one's gonna talk about it. No, I just You know, what really surprises me. This is kind of the thing that I'm semi good at. What really surprises me is the now. Admittedly, I don't watch the news, so maybe that's part of it. But I mean, the lack of a public outcry now is that going on, or
can you explain?
Do you give a fuck about news? Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it here. Well, I was like I said, I've heard about it here and there, but for the most part, I'm not in the fucking streets. Some people losing their minds about shit, except the usual Twitter fags. I mean, I see those rioting all over the place, but it's Twitter, and I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Ferguson where you had literally for days on it.
Yeah.
So
you're saying like, where's the outcry on this one?
The whole concept. Do what?
You're roboting quite a bit, buddy, but you're saying the lack of outcry is what's like strange to you?
A little bit, yeah.
You saw my tweets. It was especially because the way I was introduced to it and the way I accidentally was fooled into seeing the video. Long story, but it hit me. I was like, I was shocked that it took me at least 48 hours to like comment on it, and I'm okay now with jokes about it, but at first I was like, this is fucked. I mean, say what you want about those people, but it was just women and children and men that just wanted to practice their, stupid ass religion, and they were just gunned down like numbers.
Oh, it's definitely fucked up. I mean, by no means is this an acceptable course of action. I'm just surprised that I'm not hearing, I guess, more of a public outcry about it. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like for some reason it's just not being as massive as it could be. At the same time, there's a lot of very smaller actions being undertaken.
I could explain.
For instance, I brought up.
Sorry.
I brought up in the chat the whole Kiwi Farms thing, where apparently the New Zealand government has contacted. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's been all over Twitter. Contacted the owner of the Kiwi Farm server or whatever, and was like, "We would require all of your information."
Yeah.
And Josh was like, "And you can suck my big American dick."
Yeah, I watched him on the Rakita Law episode, and they went in depth with it. Yeah.
So I've seen lots of smaller independent actions, but nothing major, I guess.
I think I could explain.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll attempt to, because this is my take on it, and I totally am with you on this. But I think what's happening is, and I got a sense of this from, for example, Tim Pool and Philip DeFranco and quite a few others, that what's becoming more common and catching on, you can disagree with it if you like, but what's becoming more common is like purposefully a lot of bigger outlets aren't putting the name of the shooter out there. They're not putting pictures out there. And it's almost a sense of the more you talk about it, the more harm you're doing. This has become popularized since the school shootings and all that shit in Ferguson. It's been getting more popularized to kind of that it's kind of what's the word? It's looked down upon to talk about it more.
Yeah. Because if you talk about it, then you give them infamy, and no one wants to give them that kind of power.
That's my only explanation for at least the big outlets.
I got yelled at for this because I posted about this once the information started coming out. Specifically, I started tweeting about it. From the people talking about it was, it's Facebook's fault. It's the internet's fault. It's the right wing. It's right wing. It's left wing. It's the alt right. It's white people. And I put out a tweet basically stating, look, it's not Facebook or the internet or the media. It's this guy. It's this one dude, this group he was with. That's who's responsible for it.
Yeah, and I believe the way you
when his name comes out,
I agreed with the way you painted it too, where you said, and it's important that we don't dismiss him as a monster. He's one of us, and so that's how that's important. What brought him to this?
It's ridiculously important to remember that he's human, or just to remember that he's human, and to know that who he is, because it's a human that made those actions. But just as importantly, it's because he's human that we're able to then go ahead and punish him. If he's an animal or a monster, then he doesn't have that agency that we can hold him responsible for his actions. It's why, like, for instance, let's get real controversial here. I don't advocate the slaughter of pedophiles wholesale. I'm not for that. I'm not for dehumanizing them. I know that puts me in a lot of bad light for a lot of people, but if you dehumanize a pedo, you can't punish him anymore.
That's a good point, the way you put that, yeah.
You've made him an animal. And what can you do to an animal? The most you can do is put it down when it goes rabid, which means once you dehumanize a pedo, you can't touch them until you catch them raping a kid.
That's a good point. I never thought of it like that, yeah.
Or you can remember that they're human, and therefore now you can work to punish them. You can work to treat them. You can work to do whatever it is you think needs to be done. And I advocate punishing them to the full extent of the law. I am totally cool with that. If the max sentence is 20 years, hit him with the 20. No problem there. But you can't do that unless you acknowledge that they're human. And people don't like that. We want to otherize things that bother us. So this guy in New Zealand, he's a human being like the rest of us. And it's his fault that he did those actions. It's not the government. It's not Facebook. It's not the media. It's him. And I got this huge amount of shit from people because I said, when his name comes out, we should call him by his name and blame him, hold him responsible. And instead of checking my point, which was, oh, okay, we should hold this fucker responsible for his own actions, people flipped out on me and said, no, we can't say his name. We can't say his name. That will give him what he wants. And I'm like, what he wants was to cause a bunch of shit, which is what's happening.
Do you think they have a... Yeah, do you think... So you don't think they have a point when they say don't say the name? Because you're like, you come from the point of view of like, the damage is done, guys. Like,
yeah, in this instance especially. In this instance especially. Now, if he got away, then I might change my tune. If he had stated in his manifesto that he wanted this to, this was his big call, this big time deal, I might change my tune. But his manifesto, as far as I've seen, has been all about, I want this to be the kickoff point. This is the powder keg. This is the Balkan states.
Yeah, it's full of a lot of troll language to throw all kinds of political sides off.
So I don't think this is it's not an infamy thing for him, I don't think. He had a point, and he made his point. Now we punish him for making his point, and we attempt to fix the damage.
Yeah.
And we don't give him what he wants. And that doesn't mean we don't read manifesto and know what the psycho was thinking. That means we don't go with his plan. We don't fight each other. We don't have, like... I've listened to this other Jones, right? Manifesto. He sounded like Charles Manson and Helter Skelter, dude. He sounded
you remember
insane.
Elliot Rodgers, right? Do you remember Elliot Rodgers?
Yeah.
And you remember what happened to Monkey Jones when he did a video series ridiculing him and going over that guy's manifesto? And he was depersoned off of YouTube. Depersoned. Like, he has a channel now, technically, but I don't even know if YouTube knows about it, but he was depersoned for a while, and he was ridiculing this guy. He wasn't saying that what he did was right, and you can expect a lot more of that. Like, for example, I think some of Pinoid's videos, when he put them up, like, instantly, as soon as I saw Pinoid put up his videos, I'm like, that's getting taken down, you moron. And it did. Like, they don't...
Well, Discord right now, the Discord admins are saying that if your server is found, quote-unquote, glorifying the attack, without any real definition on what that was, I just want to point out, your server will be removed.
Well, it's always loose terms, right?
Right?
Yeah. Anti-hero, it's always loose language. Terms. Like, wasn't it Suit Yourself? He was taken off Discord, shut down because of
this? Suit's gotten hosed so many times for that kind of shit.
Yeah. He's not... he's used to it.
Did Suit get his Discord taken down again? Because
I believe he created a new one, but I believe his own Discord and then another one affiliated with him were taken off.
I'm gonna have to check and see if see if I'm in, because I was in his Discord. Well, last time I checked, anyway. I mean,
yeah, his Discord's gone.
Yeah, he has a new one, I guess. I don't know.
You know, I just want to point out that when push comes to shove, and I do mean when, not if. I'm not going to say that there's going to be a huge civil war coming, and I'm not going to say that's going to be guns and violence galore, but there's going to be a tipping point eventually. And when that comes, I'm honestly going to welcome the depersoning. I'm going to be okay with the dehumanization. I'm going to be okay with it because it's going to free me from their laws and expectations.
Yeah, you gotta explain that a little more, buddy.
Sure. So just like I said, if you dehumanize this as pedos, whatever the case may be, you can't punish them anymore. Because now there's, what law can you hold animals to? Well, once you turn me into an animal, what law can you expect me to hold to?
You're saying you're going to be okay with depersoning, like
when they start doing it en masse?
Mm.
And I think they will. I think there's going to come a point where they're going to be a particular group. You're no longer human. And that kind of, now I'm talking, we're talking probably 20, 30 years in the future at the very least. And some very bad choices have had to happen along the way. But if the left continues to gain any kind of power like they're doing, they're going to eventually get to the point where they're going to deperson anyone who disagrees with them.
Well, you have a gentleman on CNN by the name of Don Lemon who just a few months ago said the words, "The new threat, the real threat to the U.S. is white males."
Well, you had Ilian Ilmore.
You remember that?
Basically say that what's the difference when she was asked what's the difference
She's a crazy one.
Between Trump and Obama. She said one's a human when one isn't.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like,
she meant Obama.
I don't mean to sound like, I know this is going to get clipped like a motherfucker if someone wants to be an asshole, but when the culture war, if the Civil War does kick off, man, I'm going to be happy to be white. And Asians are allowed in. Asians and whites, we get along like clockwork.
Well, we need some ninjas on the team, right?
You need some ninjas.
When they start dehumanizing entire groups and they start doing it legally, I mean, at that point, I think is when you'll start to see things really pop off, because there's a lot of people who are going to look at the situation and eventually come to the same conclusion that there's no longer anything to worry about as far as your stupid laws go. You've removed any reason for me to follow along.
Yeah, I have a question
but
for you.
But whatever culture war is not going to be. It's not going to be.
If you get to that point, you will see a coup and the military will take over.
Let's see real quick. It's not going to be down racial lines. It's going to be down political lines.
Yep.
So it's not like you're going to identify with a certain race or anything. And let's be honest, the media is overblowing this whole racial hatred between whites and blacks, for example. I mean, it's really fucking overblown.
Is it?
Well, I have a question.
I don't hate black people. Do you? Does anybody on the panel here hate black people? No.
But we're not from Ferguson. We're not from Ferguson, Missouri, though, either, are we?
No, but a quick question and it could be for all you guys, but when you have now banks like saying they will not accept your funds, you cannot use us as a utility because of political lines, do you think that is a sign that we are a snowball going downhill and there's no stopping this? It's just win, like Anti said.
Oh yeah, I think it's just win because people don't want to.
I do not believe that this is the 1850s. I do not believe that civil war is inevitable. I don't believe it.
I agree with the first half of your statement, but not with the last half. Okay. I think yes, this is a snowball going down a hill in hell, no less. But I don't think it's unfixable. However, the only method that I can see right now to fix it, other than civil war, and I prefer not to have anything like that happen, is the government stepping in and saying, "Hey, unfuck yourself."
No, but it's not the government. The government can't do it. The ones who would have to step in, it would have to be the media, and the media has already chosen one side.
Okay, well, hold up. No, the government could do it because, let's be realistic, it's the federal government of the United States of America, and they can do whatever the fuck they want.
No,
they could very easily step in.
They can't.
Yes,
and that's really. I'm telling you that they can't do everything that they want, and if they tried to get to overreach, like I suspect that you're asking them to do, it would go down badly.
Okay, first off, I'm not asking them to overreach. I would actually prefer that be the last thing to happen, because once you give the government power to do things like that, they continue to use it for more and more shit. My point is that having worked on both sides of the government at this point, they can totally do whatever they want if they have enough time.
If you want to solidify a civil war, create FEMA camps and start locking political dissidents in them, and you'll see a civil war real quick. But I want to go with what Irate said, because we are still live right now. We'll probably go off air here in like 5 or 10 minutes, but Irate says we are already in a cold cyber civil war. I can agree with that. I don't think it's going to turn hot, though, and depending on the next election, I suppose, actually. I guess I'll amend that thought process I just had.
That's a good point. I think it does depend on the next election, yeah. I like this is when I'm gonna go all Jesse Lee Peterson on you guys, and you can fight with me if you want on this. This is my feeling on it. Honestly, Trump is the hope for this country, dude. Honestly.
All hail God Emperor Trump.
He really is. When you have a president stand up and go, we're not socialist, we're not going to be socialist, deal with it, and CNN your fake news, that's the hope. That's the great white hope. I'm sorry. You go ahead and disagree if you want.
Damn, dude. Somebody one of the panelists just said great white hope on my stream. Wow. I don't know how I'm supposed to Hey, Jensen, did you invite Patrick Little back? Is that what's going on here?
It's amazing.
Well, you said you wanted to have a round 2 with him, so I've done what I can for you, mate.
I'm just playing now, too. Like, I'm joking, man. Oh, but no, and like for anybody who's watching this and they're like, oh my God, Mad Dodge is a fucking racist. Dude, Patrick Little was on my stream for 4.5 minutes before he rage quit and called us all Jews. So, dude, nah, you're barking up the wrong tree there, buddy.
He didn't call you all Jews. He just called me a Jew. What the hell?
Yeah, true.
He was screaming at me. I'm outing the Jew.
Well, I mean, if anyone disagrees with me, like, disagree and then tell me why. But, like, you know, it's sort of a joke because I don't know if you know Jesse Lee Peterson, but he calls Trump the Great White Hope. And it's sort of just, you know, it's a little bit of a meme. But at the same time, like, if he doesn't win the 2020 election, that's when I do see the snowball won't stop, honestly.
I would like to see Trump not win solely because there was a much better candidate available. I think I have never been a Trump fan.
Oh man,
I jokingly will say that I'm a Trump fan, but it's not that I dislike him. I just don't really like him. I do, however, thoroughly appreciate steps behind some of his policies. I'm a big fan of border security because border security is a part of national sovereignty. And all you have to do is look at, you know, the UK and the European Union. I think the wall itself is a pretty symbol that doesn't do as much as it could, especially, you know, focus on it. I think it could work if we actually put a shit ton of money towards it, but I don't foresee any time in the near future. Do you?
MC,
I see the wall getting built. I just don't see the wall that we wanted getting built. It's kind of a compromise, like no one's really satisfied kind of thing. But I do think a wall is effective. Absolutely.
If it's not made of concrete with turrets every 15 feet, it's not going to be great.
Well, no, I think
you'd be surprised.
I think you'd actually like the ideas MC and I had when it comes to sorting out the border wall. You remember, MC?
Yep.
Yeah, we kind of went with a Hunger Games look. Basically, anyone that... Oh, it's true. Anyone that wants to come over can, but they all have to wear a little number tag. And all the people in America can buy the number. And if their person actually makes it through, they can win prizes. Or they can be set up so as they can go along, I don't know, minefield areas. And if they get blown up, the person...
It's like a betting pool. It's a way to sit up there and put money into the treasury. Run by the government. It's like the running of the immigrant.
Yeah,
the running of the migrant.
Yeah, I got you. But no, Aunt Jack. Asians. Okay, so Aunt Jack asked the question. He said, "Do Asians Does being Asian give you protection against being racist anymore? Man, the only ones they consider to have more privilege than white people are Asians. So you're fucked. Sorry. One last question for the panel before we go off air and bullshit for a few. MC, we'll start with you, and the question goes to all of you. If there's any sense that there's election fraud this next time around, as in it looks like President Trump was going to win and suddenly all the voting machines say otherwise and a Democrat wins, that's when a real problem is going to arise, right?
If Trump if it depends on, there's a lot of things that could cause it, right? It isn't just that will kick something off, guaranteed. Okay, but it's going to kick it off even if Trump wins and somebody says, okay, well, we're fighting over a state again like Florida. There's another side to this. And they're violent, they're virulent, and they have never been told to stand down. All right, they don't think they think that they're entitled, and they're going to push that entitlement.
What state was it that said Trump wouldn't even be allowed to be put on their ballot unless he released his tax statements?
I don't know. I don't know of a state that said that.
Oh yes, there was, because I read it earlier today. I think
there may have been
Washington.
Somebody saying it, but I don't think that I don't think they can actually enforce that. There is no requirement. You can't sit up there and force somebody to release private information.
Yeah, doesn't all you have to do is say I plead the fifth? They could raise hell over it, but that's all he has to do, right?
It's only an amendment. They'll just get rid of it. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, getting an amendment to the United States a lot more. It's much more.
I pay the most taxes. I pay the biggest amount of taxes.
I mean, what is it going to say for his taxes? What are they going to say about his taxes this time? He's turned all of his assets and income basically over to his son for control. All right, so he only has his presidential income, of which he's donated everything but a single dollar, right? Because he has to keep that. So, what's going to be in his tax statement?
Oh man, and they hated the fact that he doesn't want to get paid for being president, didn't they?
Yeah, they made a huge deal about it. I said because it breaks their narrative that all he is a corporate monging, money grubbing corporatist.
And when was the rule written that you had to be paid? Because I thought George Washington did the same thing.
I don't know when that rule was put in place.
All I know is if there's any hope for healing and stopping the snowball effect, it's going to be the president that is willing to flip a bird at the media.
Well,
I don't see any other. I don't see any other.
But Trump is doing that, and the media's not changing. So I don't think that's what when Trump did that.
Best hope we got, though.
It is the best hope, but I think it's a forlorn hope.
Could be.
No,
yeah, sure.
It was already passed in Washington. It was a bill voted on
Washington is fake news.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay, well, while you're looking, I don't want the dead air. I'll do a follow-up here, and I'll throw it to anti-hero. Is the American Republican experiment in its final death throes like the Roman experiment was?
Anti-hero is dead news.
I'm also fake news. Do you think the whole Democratic Republic idea for America is a dying experiment? Is that what we're asking?
Yeah. Are we going to go from being a republic to something more or less like the Roman Empire?
I think we've had, if you look through American history, we've had lots of periods where we've done really stupid shit for a while. And then we tend to bounce back. Now, unfortunately, those bounce backs have usually come because of a war effort that united the American public. And thus the American public, due to the way media works, no longer has a stomach for war. So we're dying in the death throes? No. Do I think we're in a dangerous position where the next probably 2 presidential terms are going to make a huge difference on how America sees the rest of its days? Yeah, I do think we're at a very pivotal point. We're at one of those crux points, a decision point. And I think I'm forced to agree with Zell, despite every fiber of my being rebelling against the very idea. I'm forced to agree with Zell. The next presidential term, that election is going to be real fucking big.
Yes, almost got you there. Big Daddy Trump all the way.
All right, Jensen. Any thoughts as an outsider looking in? And and Sherardi, yeah, of course it's Washington that passed that. Did it? I think it just passed the House in the state though. I doubt it'll get all the way up. But
newly signed Democratic-backed bill would bar Trump's name from the 2020 state ballot unless he turns over his past 5 years of tax returns, something this president has refused to do numerous times.
I'm pretty sure it's not actually legal.
It might be legal. That's a really interesting word.
You're right. It's a wide gray area, but all he's got to do is go into a courtroom and be like, "What the fuck?"
Goes on to say lawyers who are familiar with the bill have claimed that while it may be quote-unquote constitutional is the only thing in quotes. It should come as no surprise that while it will be challenged by Republicans and the White House, senators from the state of Washington voted on the bill, approving it 28-21 on Tuesday evening.
It didn't even get close to unanimous approval, for fuck's sake. It's not going to get any further in that state.
Well, no, and I would like to point out Washington is a bluer state than Oregon. Trump's not going to win the state of Washington anyway, so it's a moot point.
It's an Antifa state. It's not going to go anywhere.
But that being said, Jensen, my question about America transforming from a republic into an empire, because you would probably need a strong leader if shit starts to break down, is my line of thinking. As an outsider looking in, do you think that's a fair analysis or not? And then we'll go ahead and get off air.
Actually, I think that is a very fair analysis, and I'm sorry to say this for all of those that are great fans of Trump. I do not think he is going to be the great God Emperor people actually want him to be, but I do hope that he will lead us on to someone who will actually get this planet back, going in at least vaguely normal direction again, not this total shitstorm that it has become.
I will say this. When democracy dies and from is the fascist military dictatorship that inevitably follows the period of anarchy, and will welcome the snazzy uniforms that come with all modern-day SS outfits.
The best uniforms.
Well,
I mean, Hugo Boss made those shit for the Nazis. Hugo fucking Boss made those outfits. Look, I'm ready to be well-dressed.
Yeah, we'll be the fucking in fucking snazzy suits as we're goose stepping down the road. It'll be nice, but no, everybody.
I might be grinding the jackboots of oppression into your face, but they'll be Gucci.
Damn right. But no, thank you everybody for coming out and watching. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, all that good the shit every YouTuber ever says. We'll be back on Wednesday. I'm out of here. Good night, good luck, and screw the yellow vest. Just don't go to fucking France, guys. Just don't do it. Can I get an amen, Jensen?
Hoorah!
Fuck you.